good morning, good afternoon, depend your time and your location. This is Read Biafra TV. We are live, we are ready this evening for us to discuss our issue that concerns us and all the well-meaning Biafrans and the real Biafran people. So please, as you welcome this wonderful evening, please endeavor to welcome another person. The only good thing you will do for me right now is to like this program, share this program so others may come to join us to listen on this issue of definition of sovereignty. We may find out if there is anything that concerns military or that military proves sovereignty, and where, in which law, and where has this happening in this our entire life, in this generation that we are into. These are the things I want us to quickly share the program. As you share the program very fast, then you join me, put your comment, and invite others by liking and sharing the program, please, because they have called us for work, and we will do the work. Chukwu Okabiama has called us to do this work, and we will stand here to finish this job because of love I have for my own country. That I want to live in a country I can call my own. I want to live in a country where my opinion will count and where I will make impact, no matter how small it is. That is the country I am looking for. And that is the country I am supporting. That is my right to live as a human being in this 21st century. That is, everything we are doing is in the hand of Chukwu Okabiama. That is why we don't need to panic. What we are, I don't know why our people, without knowing who you are, without coming to do any business with them, they decided to call you criminal. I want to tell you, Dem Pedro, that I got your message clearly. But from the day you open your mouth, call me a criminal, that is the day that I have passed judgment. God has passed judgment on you. Criminal will never deviate from your home, Don Pedro. From your house to your end of your generation, Hagabundohi at all time. Hagabundohi neke, Hagabundohi nori, Hagabundohi na afọ, Hagabundohi na nkwọ. Ọ bụrụ na okwu nwa na-ekwu onye nzuru ihe ya, ma ọ bụ ịtọrọ onwe ya nwere ihe ọ bụla ikwuru ya ree, ma ọ bụrụ na ọ bụrụ eziokwu ihe ọ bụla ikwuru from n'ụbọchị start a na-ekwu okwu ya, ị ga-ebido gbaba lose na ndụ gị niile ruo ketiri n'ime ili na Chukwu Okabiama. Ọ bụghị kwa ohi lọọ bụ ọfọ ha. That is my message to Dem Pedro, and I am here this evening to debunk your stupidity, your madness, and your rubbish. I want to tell that I got your message clearly, Don Pedro. A pretender like you, who go to every platform and pretend and change name at all time for you to talk cock and bull story, and because of the stupid and the nonsense that you have been nursing in your mind, I thank God that you said that you copy what you are saying from my program. If not for me, do you know those things that you are doing? That is my happiness today. And I thought, after talking to you to Kai Report program, When I teach you how to go and research, and when you go in there, you start, God, what God can give you is not what I will give you here. Because there is men app for everything. Even as that your Google can also give you clue and the light you up if you have a genuine mind of looking for that particular thing you are mentioning. I am here today to prove definition of sovereignty under international law in this 21st century and before then. And also in this 2026, do you know that they have changed law of after declaration what makes you a sovereignty? That the world is about, that is the four body that controls the world, which is UN, EU, African Charter, and the big countries in the world. They are now that the law has changed. That a sovereignty, a country to claim sovereignty is not by military. That military is not defined of sovereignty in this 21st century. That when that happened was in the era of the colonial masters. We are going to do what this evening. Don Pedro, what I want to type on your phone is, what is the definition of sovereignty? Don Pedro, type on your phone, what is the meaning? What is the definition of sovereignty after declaration of a new country that lack international recognition? Type it on your phone. As I'm going to list it out to you this evening, so you know how prepared we are. And I will, let me remind you again. From that day you open mouth and they call me a criminal. Criminal will never deviate from your home. You will join gang. You will be back at US of ma. You gonna be gari akeneke. You is be gari na social media. You gonna be gari akanori. You gonna be gari akanafo. You gonna be gari akananko. So go ma bonye mgbagro okwu. Na sing no okwu amwaga ebo. Obu ikwu ohile obo ofo. Eha. Otu accord. That is my direct message to you, because I may not have all the time to talk to you because I'm here for something. I am here to prove, to give you the full definition. So far, you want us to go down like primary school children. That is why I'm here this evening, to prove to you the definition of sovereignty, not what I think, because I told you that what I am doing is not what I think. And I open my heart. Nobody recruited me. I put myself because I'm a Biafran and you don't know who I am. I have fought for this Biafra in a deep way, which I cannot go into test to you. Unless you graduate say. Because you are what you got on here in a challenge. I did market bonisi. If I do see me challenging you, but my message is what I am passing. And those that want to understand the message, the real Biafrans are getting the message clearly. At least, in the midst of 50 people, you are only one that have a different opinion. That makes you saboteur and a rebel. You stand like people of America who never wants America to become a country. And I was also giving you a correction that America was, but when you talk about the congressmen of America, you don't even know the meaning of congressman. And who is the congressman? You don't even know. But that is not why I am here. I am here this evening to do what? I am here to tell you as Real Biafra TV. Do you hear that name? Real Biafra TV is this name. I am here to give you what you never even know in your life. And something that if you challenge it, I will use this night to put to you that you know nothing. I thank God you start learning how to research from hearing from me. That's what you said in the message. Which I will play the voice. The last thing I will do is to invite someone like you in my program. I will not, because you have nothing to contribute except to come and confuse people and to prove your stupidity in the social media. That is all you can do, nothing more than that. So my people, pardon me, because Biafrans asked me to share the program to them. I am trying to send it to them. So we want to really understand what we are into, because we must use truth to defeat our enemies. And the truth we are talking this time around is comparison of what we are into right now. After this, our future declaration. That is the main deal that we are into. To understand that in this 21st century, you don't need military to become a sovereignty. You don't need military to claim territorial integrity, to claim territorial. You don't need it. Because the game of the world has changed. Everything is changing every time. The world are changing everything very fastly. To the extent that this 2026, they have changed the law of new country and what it takes for you to be a country. All these things have been changed. Do you know about that? They have implemented the full adopted charters and all the protocol, all the additional protocol. They have implemented it right now. In this 2026, they call it 21st centuries guys for the movement of people that are looking for their new country. That after their declaration, that there is things they have to do, and there is things are going to give them recognition and things that are not going to give them. My happiness in everything is that the government of USB are doing everything under the international law and under all the protocol, additional protocol of the international laws and the African laws. They are there. That is why you must be happy. It's no longer the era of after declaration, you want to use military to claim your country. No. It's no longer in that era. It's no longer a time that all you think of is bye. The word says we have prohibited that they do not value it anymore. And they don't want anybody to try that. If you're trying it, that you are constituting violence and that they will not recognize you. They even go as far to give examples of countries in the world that have achieved their sovereignty without one military boot on their land. But they go through legal, diplomatic, political, and every other way for them to achieve this their new country, like people of United States of Biafra. I want to tell you the truth. And this only truth is what we're here to tell you. And this only truth is what will set us free. That is why we continuously on this part of the truth that are very bitter to those who has deviated and to those who plan that our DPN, Dr. Elizabeth, should be arrested. And the woman has done everything humanly possible. That's nothing like arrest for any leader again who is leading and fighting for this cause of Biafra to become a country, fully country. Everything has changed. Everything is working in a place that it will favor you to talk. Everything will also work in a way that nobody will arrest you anymore. These are the truths about the movement of having a new country right now. It's no longer woto woto. is no longer gun and bullet. And those people like Don Pedro did not hear from Simon that Robert OBS said that after our declaration that we will not shoot one single bullet, that we are not going to shoot one single bullet anymore after our declaration. That is when he said that reconciliation and peace talk. And he also said that after our declaration, that we are going to, that the document that we are going to generate from our official declaration is the main deal. That without that we are just making noise in social media. I don't know whether if this man is not listening to this message from our Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa Njoku. I don't really know. But the truth remains that whoever, Don Pedro, can't you as a man or man up to start what in the homeland in your own order? You are in the homeland. Can't you as a man or anywhere you claim you are in South Africa, can't you organize men, start what in your own name? You want somebody that you will depend on he or her name to dish out your criminals you have already been keeping, thought that it's going to go that way, for them to start misbehaving and they start dealing with our people in the homeland. If your bitterness is because of that our DPM refuses to work in that way all of you was expected, go and hug Transformer. That is my message to you, Don Pedro. And to anybody who is thinking, oh, another person is not doing it well, do it in your own way. Start somewhere. When you start, when we get recognition, then we sit at the round table. You bring your achievement with your military. When they recognize you, what Obias said, if you think I am not doing it well, go and fight the Biafra in your own way. If you ever face me, get Biafra, fine. We will settle in the court of Biafra. What is all of you problem? If I may ask you. But I want to know that why we are here is what? The definition of sovereignty under international law, whether in this 21st century, listen to the definition of sovereignty. It's not by military. It's not by gun and bullets. Nothing at all. Listen to this. The program starts now.
In the 21st century, the definition of sovereignty for a new country declared by a government in exile, GIE, is a complex blend of traditional territory-based rules and modern rights-based diplomacy. Under international law, the UN Charter, the Montevideo Convention and the African Charter, sovereignty is not just about having a military, it is about the legal right to exercise supreme authority. 1. The 4 pillars of sovereignty, Montevideo criteria. The foundation of statehood remains the 1933 Montevideo Convention. For a government in exile to declare a new country, they must aim to satisfy these 4 criteria, though the 21st century interpretation is more flexible. Permanent population. A specific group of people who identify with the new state. Defined territory. Even if the GIE doesn't physically control the land yet, because it is occupied or contested, they must claim a specific geographic area. Government. The GIE must function as a political body capable of making decisions and representing the people. Capacity to enter relations. The ability to sign treaties and talk to other nations. This is the GIE's strongest tool. 2. The legitimacy shift in the 21st century. Historically, you needed effective control, an army on the ground. Today, international law increasingly prioritizes legitimacy over physical force. The right of self-determination. Under the UN Charter and African Charter, Article 20, if a people are fighting against domination or colonialism, their government in exile is often viewed as the sovereign representative even before they win the war. Declaratory theory. Most modern scholars follow the declaratory theory, which says a state exists the moment it meets the criteria, regardless of whether other countries recognize it. However, for a GIE, recognition is essentially their air supply. Without it, they cannot function. 3. De jure versus de facto sovereignty. In the case of a government in exile, international law splits sovereignty into two types. Type: definition, requirement. De jure, by law, the legal right to rule, based on international law, treaties, and the will of the people. De facto, in fact, the physical power to rule, based on military control, tax collection, and policing the streets. The 21st century reality: a government in exile holds de jure sovereignty. They are the legal owners of the country's rights, like bank accounts or UN seats, even if another group holds de facto power through military force. 4. Proving effective government without military. You ask if they must show military force. In the 21st century, a GIE can prove it is an effective government through civilian governance, such as 1. Issuing passports, if other countries accept their travel documents. 2. Diplomatic missions, having embassies in foreign capitals. 3. Representing the people, showing that the population back home supports the GIE, e.g., through underground movements or protests. 4. Managing resources, handling the nation's frozen assets or international aid. Summary: in the modern monde world, sovereignty is a legal status granted by the international community. While a military helps you take territory, your sovereignty comes from being recognized as the legitimate voice of a people under the UN Charter. Would you like me to analyze a specific modern example, like the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic or the National Unity Government of Myanmar, to see how they apply these laws?
We are going to get into all this. Remember, we want to define sovereignty for those who claim that sovereignty is military. That we should go and start confronting Nigeria military in this 21st century. In the first 4 criteria of sovereignty, did you hear anything about military here? Did you ever come across anything in military in this movement, in this document of international community? Did the military follows? Do you hear? Military is not at last deciding about military. In fact, I won't say much word. I want to play many of these documents. Remember the one I played now? I want to play it many more. So, for those who claim that sovereignty is military, look at it. I hope you listen carefully. They said they do no longer accept military control or military force against Nigeria direct. They said, the word said that they cannot control it anymore. And they give you criteria and the process and the template you have to work on for you to achieve your new country. And they said that we prefer they preferred a new country without shooting one bullet, that they are going to give them international recognition. Recognition from the international community becomes sovereignty. That man called Don Pedro, who goes to every place and changes his name, and when he comes, he will play like, oh, he wants to understand, asking questions. It's a pure lie. Now, I will play you voice of Don Pedro. I'm going to play you the voice of that stupid Don Pedro that sent to me what he said about sovereignty, and including me. Listen. 1 minute, my people, 1 minute. What is this brother who sent me that voice note? You are making mockery of yourself. Because I'm going to help you. I will use you for others to learn. That this movement is no longer what people think. Listen to this. Bishop, good evening from here. I can see you. Hey, Mommy Flora Akubilo, good evening from here. Ogonna, good evening. Abarosia, good evening. Chinenye Ebonye, good evening. Dozier, good evening. Amy Justice, good evening. Chidubeme Manuel, good evening from here. You are the first today. Thank you all. Please, let us move. Listen to this voice before I go in.
Yeah, Master Jimbaz, another criminal recruit this year. I mean, 2025. Can recruit to this criminal flavor? And I say, you know, if Mama, I want to define what I know as criminal. Criminal is somebody who takes something from you without your consent or in deceit. Or a criminal. And then my own a criminal. And even the only criminal on my victor. No nya kita no one life. Life program on make kita against the wake up paper. Na program on life. Kita, so I'm talking. When I say no nya criminal. When I your victor, because na victor boy go a lot of things about this criminal. When I use victor, go what you were sent down a cabinet. This criminal invite them na program ya. Kambia kowa yenja kwa criminal. Ebe na agwa unu na abụ ife ọbụla ekwuru ebe anụ na-eme na cabinet nọ na abụ oluo ha fụ na eziokwu atara ebezeta ezichenje unuche na asị ọkwa Victor confirm gị kịta ọkwa Victor confirm gị unu ebe unu ekwerego nke Victor welu disi ngwejelu dis criminal si tie m na line ka mụ na ekwuo ka ụwa n'onu mụ na ọ nọdụ chọọ ife ọ na-eme ọwụ nọdụ chọọ ife ọ na-agụpụta kwa mbọsị na-eyese ndị agasịa invite ya m na ana m ahịa biko na m aha agba ọsọ mana ama na ihe eme imegide ya ma na ọya ekwe mana onye ka o ji wu criminal onye a elu bụ okwu 1 year eji wee recruit yo ka ndị kọpụtara ndị ebe ka onye ọ na-afụ criminal na ebe akịta na-agwazi gị na enidi ozi amị enidi ozi arms na ozi peaceful exit peaceful exit ka Nnamdi Kanu nọ n'ime nga yo ha kwuo na ha ya without order na ya continue na woto ma this criminal kịta na ha ekwuzi onye chọzie woto aja ejuzi oge nke nya ha juzi na USB si juzie ndị brigade kedu ibe ji wee kwụsịzi ndị amị kwụsị armed struggle ka ibe ji wee kwụsị ncha chọzie peace Nnamdi Kanu finish go tige na nga the job agwụgo so enwezi need for it onwezi ị na-emezi armed struggle kịta ịmaghị etekzi risk nke aka gị ọlụ ejiri gị ịlụchago jee weta evidence anyị jitụ nna gị ukwu a nga ijego weta atụghị nga ịkọntinuzikwe akpụrụ ha ga ebe ibi maka onye ifogịta obi okwo nso onye ebi okwo nso ọkwọ beri nke obi owu nso ọkwọ be ndị Islamic country ka obikwo were abịa ịnatara Biafra n'aka ndị Islam ndị a niile ewu hapụzi ha nche nwere ofu n'ime ha mma ugoro mmadụ o nwere ofu n'ime ha wee ezigbo ọyị nwoke nwere ike iwepụta taịm na-eche ka ivu na-egwu mmanụ nke bụ eziokwu na nke bụ azụ mana ndị ọzọ niile criminal iji ikwu nke a na-akpọ Exodus Victor were ịba sendị ara ha nke a na-akpọ Exodus ana mbọsa na-ekwukwara sị get away wepụ onye ebe a get away onye ahụ na-ekwu ife akwụkwọ last 2 years ka etiri o anọ m mbọsị Kai TV na-amụgosi etu esi eseti equipment for life program ọma ha eme itibolibe esi etinwuho ifo eji wee mee program na-abịa inye mbe the worst bụ na ndị niile ha recruit wu ndị iti nwe onye nwe ife ya ekwesịrị ama ife a sọsọ onye ifere adọ n'ahụ nwee ike sọpọt ife a na-eme mana isi na-enwe ife na-eme dibe explain n'olu ife gbara mgharị asịghị na-ewu nke m na ha dachis na nwụzi DOS etu Victor si eme igbe mmadụ eziokwu ọfọdụ igbe agwa ọsịghị na-ewu nwanne Egumi n'iwu DOS ụfọdụ na m abụghị Naijiria ụfọdụ na m abụghị onye Igbo ụfọdụ na m abụghị Nnewi omechakwazi ha nke ọzọ tụgharị na m nwanne Ikenga just the same thing Victor na-eme ije ara igwe okwu ewuru ofu allegation bụghị izebezi onwe gbafelu mana ọ na-aka nke ha fụsiri anya Victor ife a na-ekwu ama m n'ihi ese ndị enye ka m ji ekwu ife niile a ka somebody wee invite ya m ka anyị debate ye unu ruo na agba ọsọ debate mana ya da-ayọ ego kwa mbọsị nke a na-ekwu ife a so ego ka ọ na-ayọ onye a na-ekwu ife a ọ sị na abịa ọrụ Biafra so ego ka ọ na-ayọ onwe ife ọzọ erekrutiri ka o buru efere eji emebaba ya nla so ego ka ọ na-ayọ gụnye ego ka o wee je lọbi ka o wee je mee nka kedu ife ị na-alọbi sovereignty ga-ebe ka ọ dụ kedu ife ị na-eprotect kedu ife iji eprotect inwe ha na inwe anything iji gị na-eprotect that sovereignty ka onye ọzọ hapụ ibreak ya kedu ife iji echekwata your sovereignty Chineke mmadụ si n'ogbe steeti 40 state of Biafra ọ hapụ Soludo arakọ tax nye nwa beze na-ana m donation ntụchara ndị Naijiria ego arụkwa ntụrụ ndị USB gbazie sovereignty nọ na gbazie m onye ji my own sovereignty na ebe ọ na Tinubu ya anam tax ọ nacha m tax USB anam donation na fundraising keduzie onye ji my sovereignty ọ Tinubu ka USB kedu independent ma ebe ọdụ independent ya celebrate kpara mbọsị a ofu ahụ 29 November ka celebrate anniversary independent ana m eme independent USB amahụ gọvanọ na-achị steeti m enwebughị onye pụtasị na gọvanọ Ikemba ma ọ gọvanọ Ọdụmegwu ma ọ gọvanọ Ọmambara
ọ pụta ka igbuo ya ọ pụta ka ndị kpọrọ gị ọrụ ịla aza Dem Pedro lekọta afa gị inwe afa onye apụta gosigo onwe ya ka igbuo ya aka njinji ejiri omchela otu and Chukwuka abịa ma ji nwaanyị na-atụkapụ one after the other. This man pụta na ya platform for the first time okay ọ sịkwa na question nke ya na-ajụ even echekwa m emele echeche m emere ịsa question ma ọ bụ mmadụ ama m lọ agafu ga-enwe ebe a gụnyere ya ka m mere nna asa question na nke kai report even ka anyị na-ekwu okwu at a stage echekwa m na ọ sị m na ya ghọtara ihe a na-ekwu amara m na ọma ihe ọtụtụ na the self even na mgbe m kwuchara ihe bụ even ihe anyị gwede ọ ka na-ekwu okwu territorial integrity ka ọ na-ekwu ọ bụkwa sovereignty ka o bụ wee pụta after that and he cannot even yes mommy he can show his face if you want to come to my platform I will give you my link but you will put your face on social media ọ bụ na ị bụrụ onye ohi on your own ọ bụ na ọ bụ nkwugheri na okwu asị ka ị na-ekwu ọ bụghị afọ gị bụ Dem Pedro ekwetago na mmenye gị link ka ị bịa mana ị ga-ewepụta iru gị na face ka anyị mara ihe afọ iru gị na or brand that faceless unite if you want me I challenge you my brother send me a message because copy this place in the now send it to Dem Pedro like that their group ever on na mosia na Biafra TV send na me invite tomorrow by Biafran time 6 o'clock to 7 Biafran time mana ọ ga-etinye iru ya ntu ozi optin social media na ọ bụ na o tinye iru ya na social media na my invite and the Biafrans on a platform to be very careful of this man you know about akwana bay ho back na ya bụ Williams Dem Pedro ma akwana onya na voice na onya ka na gbogo okwu ya onwe ihe obere na platform gị ihe obere ime nkogiri obere ka o deviate from ihe na-ekwu ka ikwube nke ọ chọrọ bezo na enyeli ego narị ụmụ Biafra ihe nkwuru bụ na gadget m nwa chọrọ iji wee na-agbasa ozi ya wee na-emebe ntụ na-agụ ihe from my phone wepụta m this document tinye na screen onye ọbụla afị ya anya ka m kwuru yes so na mụ n'ihi na ọ dị ọnụ the particular one m chọrọ abụghị onwere laptop m chọrọ ka ọbụla ihe ọ chọrọ iji arụ phone nwere level n'ime ahịa ntụ a nka laptops wee nwee level as I'm talking to you right now ụmụ Biafra gbaa na mbọ from ego na ihe abụ ihe ọ fọdụrụ now including last message mmadụ send me yesterday ego a for $550 ka o zuo ya bụ ekwuru m na enweghị nsi enye m nri ihe m kwuru na m need that support n'ihi na the thing nke m chọrọ because of him chọrọ ịrụ na ọ dị ọnụ na ọ dị ezigbo ọnụ na ọ ya bụ nke m chọrọ the latest one na o nwee ihe o bu dị ya n'ime me nji wee chọọ ya ewezụka ya ego m ọbụla laptop nchọrọ laptop $500 $200 $800 azụghị ya since the money for ihe ọfụrụ na nke o zuo abụ Dem Pedro ọnụ ya ego ahụ m na-achọ ọfụrụ ihe ọfụrụ ka o zuo bụ $550 ka ọ fọrọ ozua eji bute laptop ahụ ebe ọ dị gị na-eji nwayọ na-eme eweta atụ wee ruo mgbe ọ ga-ezu sị amụga nkwara jiji na ana m abịa na a sị gị na m ga-enye gị link mana ị ga-ewepụta iru gị na soshal midia ọ bụ ya na background blọkụ vidiyo gị alụmanụ voice onye ji ama onye ọbachị m ifi onye m na-ekwu okwu anya so show your face. I give you my platform. If you can debate here, sovereignty. As I mentioned, I hold it here, my people. I will stop it here. In Don Pedro, I have passed a message to you. I have passed my message to you. I have passed my message to you.
Emi na-achị gwa gị bụ na onye a na-ekwu okwu biko Friday nkịta na-ege your live stream ị na-eme. Onye a na-ekwu okwu na-akọ ihe ọ na-akọ mbọsị ọ na-ekwu n'okwu ya na-ekwu na ọmụrụ gọvanọ ọmụrụ nke a ajụghị ebe ọ sị na onye ike mba apụtakwa mo Mike. That was the day I made collaboration with independent broadcast. Simon Ekpa was there, Kai TV na ebe a plus ndị ọzọ niile ndị nọzi na ya ma dị nwa dịkwa ka emesịrị bata mana ọ dị ka na ọlụ that day Estedos Tina Asa Tina ma Madam Origin, all those our people nọ kia so ebezi amụpụta kwuo kọwaa onwe m na ụmụ with the governor of state of Ikemba na-akọzi na-ajụzi na ya ka mmalụ n'kaụntị osi mmadụ ebe o si wee bụrụ onye Ikemba asụ na onye Nnewi weta anyị Nnewi adịrọ n'ime Ikemba na ọdụmegwu ka ọ dị so rapụ ihe onye a na-akọ ihe ju ihe ọ na-akọ na mmadụ ihe ọ na-akọ ige ọkwa ya ntị for your own ọkwa na your own risk because a na-ajụ ya n'ịnọ na-akọ na anakọtazikwa ya ọkwa mgbaghara ịkọbi ebe a na-akọ eli ha forget him only marry just forget him ojuru okwu.
Governor, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm live, but the form touch your voice. So, here abụkwa ka eji mara that man na afia bụ efu afia ofu na-aza Williams Pedro efu afia ọ na-eklem kwa na ya chịrị ma ọ na-ekwula ka ọ fụọ mmanụ ọ ekila ka ọ kpọtara ka ọ bịa gbuo ndị gọvanọ nọ na Old Eastern Region nọ na Biafra land ọhịa ka ọ bịa na 40 steeti ọ gwara ka ọ free hu ka ọ repeat ọsọ ndị ndị otu ya ka ha bịa gbuo mmadụ ọhịa ka ọ chọrọ ime anyị ma ụdị onye ọ bụ true voice ya. So like I said, my people, this is my message to Don Pedro. I have sent my message to you. So, ọkwa ị chọrọ ikwu okwu. Ọkwa ị chọrọ ikwu okwu. Ọ bụrụ ị chọrọ ikwu okwu, mmenye gị platform once ka ị bịa ka ị kwuo ihe ịchọ ka ị kwuo bụ sovereignty ma mechaa nke a na-eme now. And I'm not going to watch program every time. I'm up on number on 24 hours. Everywhere on a phone. It's number more than my platforms. My him and so the answer is wage bungo abo snap wage Don Pedro. Can na wage William Don Pedro one of na that afibo ya idea. Then we ma fibo. Then we ma fibo we saw them. Ama maybe nchege asi we pota. But like our governor okuru can you drag here back because na but let me go into what brings me here. Because I am a saga here. I don't do saga. I don't talk about anybody. I focus on things I want to do that will yield the result. Ihem na-eme n'abalị ahụ ọkwa sovereignty ahụ ị na-claim na territorial integrity ihe o mean come let me ka agwa ihe o mean under international about what I think. If you are going here, Biafra nke m na-ekwu abụọ nke what I think the Biafra I am seeking for. I am seeking that this is a new declared country. Nasri, you must be a country before countries will talk to you. That you will claim that you are a country before other international will talk about you. And in this 21st century, do you know they have changed the law of sovereignty and the territorial integrity? You don't even know. Let us find out more. Like I said, I will play many research. You will hear bit by bit. You will hear names of country without one single military. They use legal What our government is doing today is what they use to achieve their country. Listen.
In international law, there is no specific legal requirement that a government in exile, GIE, must possess a, quote, full military force to prove it is a sovereign or effective government. In fact, modern international law, including the UN Charter, the African Charter, and the Montevideo Convention, often moves away from might makes right. Instead, it focuses on legitimacy and recognition. Here is how the law distinguishes between having an army and being a country.
Listen,
1. The effective
sovereignty.
control versus legitimacy rule. Under the Montevideo Convention, 1933, a state normally needs an effective government. Usually, this means you can control your borders and enforce laws, which often requires a military. However, for a government in exile, the rules change. Legitimacy, right to rule. If a government was legally in power but was forced out by an illegal invasion or a coup, international law often continues to recognize them as the de jure, legal, sovereign, even if they have no military at all. The anti-force rule, Article 11 of the Montevideo Convention and the UN Charter state that territory gained by force, military invasion, is not legally recognized. Therefore, the exiled government doesn't need an army to stay legal, it just needs the world to agree that the invader is illegal. 2. The African Charter and Self-Determination. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights provides a unique perspective. It emphasizes the right of people to free themselves from colonial or foreign domination. A government in exile representing a liberation movement, like the ANC in South Africa during apartheid or SWAPO in Namibia, can be recognized as the legitimate representative of the people based on their political cause, not just their military strength.
Are you
3.
hearing it?
Comparison of requirements.
A comparison. Listen.
Requirement. For a new state, secession. For a government in exile, military force. High. Usually must show they can defend the land. Low/none. Sovereignty is based on legal right, not current power. Territory. Must physically control it. Does not need control, occupied by enemy. Recognition. Important for survival, critical. They exist primarily because other states say they do. 4. Why military force is still mentioned. While not a legal requirement for sovereignty, a military is often a
Listen,
practical requirement for effective government. De facto versus de jure. If you have an army and control the land, you are a de facto government in fact. The goal. Most governments in exile eventually build a military or partner with one because their goal is to return home. International law, like the Geneva Conventions, allows an exiled government to command troops and resist an occupier without losing their legal status. Summary. You do not need to show full force of military to be sovereign under international law if your claim is based on a legal right, like being invaded, or the right to self-determination. Sovereignty in the modern world is more about diplomatic recognition. To see examples of historical governments that were recognized as sovereign while they had no territory or military.
Are you listening? I will play it again. And I will play another before I will go into my analysis. You will still have my time. Ben, I greet you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Onyekashi, thank you so much. Good evening from here.
In international law, there is no specific legal requirement that a government in exile, GIE, must possess a, quote, full military force to prove it is a sovereign or effective government. In fact, modern international law, including the UN Charter, the African Charter, and the Montevideo Convention, often moves away from might makes right. Instead, it focuses on legitimacy and recognition. Here is how the law distinguishes between having an army and being a country. 1. The effective control versus legitimacy rule. Under the Montevideo Convention, 1933, a state normally needs an effective government. Usually, this means you can control your borders and enforce laws, which often requires a military. However, for a government in exile, the rules change. Legitimacy, right to rule. If a government was legally in power but was forced out by an illegal invasion or a coup, international law often continues to recognize them as the de jure, legal, sovereign, even if they have no military at all. The anti-force rule, Article 11 of the Montevideo Convention and the UN Charter state that territory gained by force, military invasion, is not legally recognized. Therefore, the exiled government doesn't need an army to stay legal, it just needs the world to agree that the invader is illegal. 2. The African Charter and Self-Determination. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights provides a unique perspective. It emphasizes the right of people to free themselves from colonial or foreign domination. A government in exile representing a liberation movement, like the ANC in South Africa during apartheid or SWAPO in Namibia, can be recognized as the legitimate representative of the people based on their political cause, not just their military strength. 3. Comparison of requirements. Requirement. For a new state, secession. For a government in exile, military force. High. Usually must show they can defend the land. Low/none. Sovereignty is based on legal right, not current power. Territory. Must physically control it. Does not need control, occupied by enemy. Recognition. Important for survival, critical. They exist primarily because other states say they do. 4. Why military force is still mentioned. While not a legal requirement for sovereignty, a military is often a practical requirement for effective government. De facto versus de jure. If you have an army and control the land, you are a de facto government in fact. The goal. Most governments in exile eventually build a military, or partner with one, because their goal is to return home. International law, like the Geneva Conventions, allows an exiled government to command troops and resist an occupier without losing their legal status. Summary. You do not need to show full force of military to be sovereign under international law if your claim is based on a legal right, like being invaded, or the right to self-determination. Sovereignty in the modern world is more about diplomatic recognition and international law than it is about the size of an army. Would you like to see examples of historical governments that were recognized as sovereign while they had no territory or military?
I hope you pay deep attention. Since I started this page, I don't saga anybody. And Chinedu, good evening from here. You're welcome, my brother. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Can see you. Anyang, good evening from here. Ben, good evening from here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I salute you. And I can see you. Those that are way meaning into what we are doing. I am never start my explanation. Remember, I want us to listen more. Because we must find out the truth. And the truth is what shall set us free. It's not what I think. It's not how I feel. It's about focusing on the reality that is on ground after our declaration. That is the main thing that are very important into what we are doing. And how other countries in the world have achieved their own. If what I am saying or what I'm preaching, that people has never used it to get their own, then that will look like we're making a mistake. Continue listening as I will play about 5 documents before I go into analysis.
In the 21st century, international law has moved even further away from the idea that military power equals sovereignty. For a new country that lacks international recognition or a government in exile, GIE, the military is considered a tool of effective control, but it is not the definition of sovereignty. The modern legal landscape, as of 2026, prioritizes legitimacy over raw force. Here is how the military relates to sovereignty in these specific, difficult cases.
Yes,
1. The effective control test. For a newly declared country, the military is often the way it passes the effectiveness test. Internal perspective. If your military controls the territory, collects taxes and maintains order, you have de facto sovereignty. External perspective. In the 21st century, the international community, UN, AU, EU, often refuses to recognize this military sovereignty if it was achieved through a legal force or violates the right to self-determination. Conclusion. The military proves you can rule, but it doesn't mean you should rule according to international law. 2. Governments in exile. GIE. A government in exile is the opposite of a military-backed unrecognized state. A GIE has zero military control over its home territory, but often possesses de jure, legal sovereignty, because other countries continue to recognize it. Legal logic. International law assumes that sovereignty resides in the people and their legitimate representatives, not just the person holding the gun. If a legitimate government is pushed out by an illegal invasion or coup, its sovereignty travels with it into exile. Example. During the 20th and 21st centuries, many governments, like Kuwait's during the 1990 invasion, were still treated as sovereign by the UN while in exile, while the military force occupying their land was labeled illegal. 3. The 21st century shift, functional sovereignty. We are currently seeing the rise of functional sovereignty. This is a middle ground for unrecognized states that have a military but no seat at the UN. These entities use their military to protect their borders while trying to gain functional recognition by issuing passports, license plates, or joining minor international agreements. Even if they have a powerful military, they are often denied full sovereignty because they lack constitutive recognition, the formal stamp of approval from other states. Comparison: military power versus legal status. Scenario: military control, international recognition. Sovereign status: recognized state. Yes. Yes. Full sovereignty, government in exile. No. Yes. Often. Legal sovereignty, no control. Unrecognized state. Yes. No. De facto control, no legal status. Occupying force. Yes. No. Illegal administration. Summary for the 21st century. Under current international law, military force is a fact, but recognition is a right. A new country can have the strongest military in the world, but if it lacks recognition, it cannot legally trade, borrow money from the World Bank, or protect its diplomats. Conversely, a government in exile can have no soldiers at all, yet still be the only entity legally allowed to sign treaties for that nation. Would you like to look at a specific case study, such as the legal status of the Taliban government, unrecognized but in control, versus the previous Afghan government in exile?
I hope my people you are listening. Please, if you are just joining me, please like and share this program. I am not doing this program because of the president, but I am doing it for our own benefit. For you to know what is meaning of sovereignty, for those who we want to confuse you. I want us to just in a little enlightenment of to educate ourselves on truth. And how the world wants us to act this time around. And why our DPM, why US government is on the right track by moving into non-armed struggle recognition that the world accepted. I will play it once again. As I'm playing it right now, I will be pausing and I will do some analysis on it this evening. So please, we want to define sovereignty. Sovereignty is what we want to define this evening. As we already started. If military proves sovereignty, if military is sovereignty, and if because of no military, you will not recognition. Because I see that they want us to go down like primary school people to educate ourselves. Let us go down through the line and start it from the beginning. Because I thought that we have passed some such stage. We are defining what? Definition of sovereignty. Whether is it military is sovereignty, or is it human being, population as sovereignty? Is it government is sovereignty? Is it defined territory? Let us know the criteria of sovereignty. As we are hearing. Tina, good evening from here. You are welcome. Thank you so much for coming. This is 21st century we are reading. Okay, before I go into another one, let us play this. Listen. Listen.
In international law, the relationship between a military and sovereignty, especially for a newly independent country lacking recognition, is complex. To answer your question, military force is not a devotion or a substitute for sovereignty, but it is often the practical tool used to assert de facto, actual control when de jure, legal, recognition is missing. In the 20th century, the legal standard shifted away from might makes right. Here is how military power relates to sovereignty for an unrecognized state. 1. De facto versus de jure sovereignty. When a country declares independence, but lacks international recognition, like Somaliland, or historically, various breakaway states, international law looks at two things. De facto sovereignty. This is sovereignty in fact. If a new country has a military that successfully holds territory, enforces laws and protects borders, it has effective control. In the 20th century, the declaratory theory, codified in the 1933 Montevideo Convention, argued that if you have a territory, a people, and a government that works, you are a state regardless of what others say. De jure sovereignty. This is sovereignty by law. This requires recognition from other states. Without this, even if your military is strong, you cannot join the UN, sign global treaties easily, or access international courts. 2. The military as an effective government. Under international law, one of the requirements for statehood is an effective government. In the 20th century, a military often served as the primary evidence of this effectiveness. If a new country's military can prevent the parent state from retaking the land, international law acknowledges that the parent state's sovereignty has become suspended or ineffective in that area. 3. The illegal use of force barrier. A major change in the 20th century, specifically after the UN Charter in 1945, is that sovereignty cannot be legally gained through aggression. If a new country is created solely through the military intervention of a foreign power, a puppet state, international law usually refuses to recognize its sovereignty. Example: the international community refused to recognize the Bantustans in South Africa or Northern Cyprus because their independence was seen as a result of illegal military force or systemic injustice, rather than true self-determination. Summary table. Military power versus legal sovereignty. Feature: unrecognized state, military control. Recognized sovereign state. Control: exercises de facto power via military/police. Exercises de jure power via law. UN membership. Generally blocked. Full rights and voting power. Borders. Protected by force, but legally disputed. Protected by international law, UN Art. 2-4. Treaties. Hard to sign or enforce globally. Full capacity to enter international deals. Conclusion. In the 20th century, a military was the physical manifestation of a claim to sovereignty, but it was not the legal source of it. A country that lacks recognition but has a military exists in a gray zone. It functions like a state, internal sovereignty, but is treated as a non-entity by the global legal system, external sovereignty. Would you like me to look into a specific historical example, such as the independence of Bangladesh or the status of Taiwan, to see how this applied in practice?
I hope you are listening. I am reading this document the way it is, one after the other, one after the other. This is what we are doing this night. This is earlier 20s. Now, what of these 21st centuries, as they talk about it? This is from where we will start explaining. If listen to the beginning of this particular document, it says that when a country declared independence but lacked international recognition, like Somaliland or historical various breakaway states, international law look at two things: de facto sovereignty. This is a sovereignty, in fact, if a new country has military that successfully hold territory, enforcing laws, and the protect border, it has effective control. In the 20th centuries, the Declaration of Trujillo, confided in the 1933 Montevideo Convention, argue that if you have territory, a people, and a government that works, you are a state, regardless of what others are saying. Partially, I touched this program a little bit yesterday. In my 2 hours program of yesterday, I touched this place as of yesterday. Now, the main sovereignty, the due recognition sovereignty. This is sovereignty. This is sovereignty by law. They requires recognition from other states. Without this, even if you have a strong military, you cannot join the UN, global treaties, sign treaties easily, or access international courts. With your strong military, with your what? Strong military, that UN will not recognize you in this was earlier 20th centuries, that they will not. Why is the reason they will not? Because they said, we have shifted away from man-made, which is gun and bullet, that the international law, both African law, says that the world has shifted away from this. They are no longer values it anymore. That they prefer what? Legal, which is law. That is what? The dual sovereignty. That's no arm struggle. That they prefer. That they have left you behind with you and your military. That's which you use to fight the existing territorial integrity like Nigeria. That we don't need anymore. That they don't want it at all for you to continue. Keep your army for your territory. Let them continue. Train, that's why I said after your declaration, train a professional military. And it also give us statistics of some countries in the world that have achieved their own without even having one gun shoot forward after their declaration. You know why I said, the most asking question by confused people is, how can a nation be declared in another man's country? So can we look into list of countries that declares and the list of what? That's thing that you don't need too much. In our program tomorrow, which we will have time tomorrow, exactly the way you put it, we are going to ask them. We are going to do research tomorrow morning. After this program ends, I like when I have job, something I will research the next day that bothers our people. That is the kind of thing I want in my comment section. Throw me that question that they are asking anywhere. Let us dish it out and find out the truth. Let us bring that bitter truth that Hadino comes at last. Thank you so much. People are asking such a question. Algeria in Africa declared their independence in Egypt. In the era of the colonial masters, Ethiopia was declared in London, their sovereignty, their declaration. So let me hold it here, focus on this issue of sovereignty today. Because all these things are part of this sovereignty we are discussing this night. When a government in exile make declaration of a new country, what is exile? It's not another man's country. Are we the first people that will declare a country in exile? Poland was declared in exile. London. Netherlands was declared in exile. London. India, 1907, a woman declares it in Germany. India was before their current leader take over. A woman declares India as a country in exile. What of Israel? Israel, a woman declared it in exile. Another man's country. Namibia was being declared in exile in Angola, in Africa. What is wrong with our people? Well, like you said, I just heated it a little bit light. We are going to go deeper. That's why I said that the Biafra I am looking for is not Biafra for me to have time to be debunking anybody. No, it's not Biafra for me to come and think what I analyze, what I feel, concoct one story on my headline and be talking it from there. Moving. No, I won't do that because I want to know what I'm doing and how it benefit of it and the dangers on it. That is the main thing. So, when anybody asks you, just ask that person before we come tomorrow. Ask them, please, just go on that simple Google that is in your phone. Let me give you just a little common what you will type. Type in your phone, How many countries in the world was being declared in another man's country? Type it on your phone. It will give you a little clue. Then when I come with the real app I'm using, then tomorrow we will dish it out in a very large way tomorrow. Let's say we'll have tomorrow, we'll do it in the night, we also do in the morning also. So let us not go far. We are here. Because it's no longer a time to deceive anyone anymore.
In international law, sovereignty is the fundamental principle that a state has supreme, independent authority over its own territory and population, free from external interference. It is often described as the gold standard of statehood, establishing that every nation-state is legally equal to every other, regardless of size or power. Under the modern international legal framework, primarily the UN Charter, sovereignty is divided into two main dimensions. 1. Internal sovereignty, supremacy. This refers to the state's exclusive right to govern its own affairs within its borders. Monopoly on power. The state has the sole right to create and enforce laws, collect taxes, and maintain a military or police force. Domestic jurisdiction. Under Article 2.7 of the UN Charter, other states and international organizations are generally prohibited from intervening in matters that are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of a state. Self-determination. The right of a people to choose their own political, social, and economic systems. 2. External sovereignty, independence. This refers to the state's relationship with the rest of the world. Sovereign equality. As stated in Article 2.1 of the UN Charter, all states are legally equal. A small island nation has the same legal status and vote in the General Assembly as a global superpower. Right to diplomacy, the power to enter into treaties, join international organizations, like the UN or WTO, and declare war or peace. Territorial integrity, the legal rule that a state's borders are inviolable and cannot be changed by the use of force from another state. The four key elements of a sovereign state. According to the Montevideo Convention, 1933, a political entity must possess four traits to be considered a sovereign person under international law. 1. Permanent population, a stable community of people. 2. Defined territory, clear borders over which it exercises control. 3. Government, an effective administrative body. 4. Capacity to enter into relations, the ability to engage with other sovereign states. Modern limitations, relative sovereignty. In the 21st century, sovereignty is rarely considered absolute. It is increasingly viewed as sovereignty as responsibility. Human rights. A state can no longer hide behind sovereignty to commit atrocities. International law, such as the Responsibility to Protect, or R2P, suggests that if a state fails to protect its citizens, the international community may intervene. International treaties. When a state signs a treaty, like the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, it voluntarily limits its sovereignty by agreeing to follow international rules. Global interdependence. Issues like cyber warfare, global trade, and pandemics often require states to cede some decision-making power to international bodies. Key legal maxim, asterisk, sovereignty in the relations between states signifies independence. Independence in regard to a portion of the globe is the right to exercise therein, to the exclusion of any other state, the functions of a state. Island of Palmas case, 1928. Would you like me to explain how sovereignty applies to specific modern issues, such as cyber warfare or maritime borders?
I hope you are listening. I hope you are listening with your two ears opening. Do you hear where they define that the military is definition of sovereignty? I know why I'm going on to all these areas before we start rounding it up. Military is no longer the time we are into is no longer when military is sovereignty. They said in this 21st century, after declaration that they knew that the new country is lacking border control, that their sovereignty is what? Population of human being is sovereignty, not gun and bullet. Sovereignty attached to identify the 40 states of United States of Biafra, proving there is a territory where this permanent population are living. Effective governments that are controlling this population of people and the territory, giving instruction, even if it means peaceful disobedience, sit at home, or any government issue out to prove that they are the one in charge. That is the area. Then this sovereignty, then this government is what? That they are the one to sign treaties, agreements with other sovereign nations. Have you heard here? They said, oh, in the beginning, that number one point of sovereignty is military. In which law? From whose ideology? The Biafra we are looking for is not my ideology. And the level where we are now, after our declaration, is no longer what I think, but it is what the international global community think about us and what they want us to do, what they lay down as a lay down principle. There is a lay down principle before us. That is what we are going to follow. That is what we are going to do. Like every other nations in the world. There is many things that are in the open. Because of some of our people's stupidity, they refuse to try to understand it very well. I am still looking for the other one. Those that they did not have one words, even common boot of military. Listen to this. It has happened in the past. That is why the world changed from military as sovereignty to turn it into population of human beings. Listen to this.
In the 21st century, international law has firmly separated military might from legal sovereignty. To your question, no. A military is not the definition of sovereignty. In fact, some of the most sovereign entities have no military, while some entities with powerful militaries have no legal sovereignty. Here is how this works for unrecognized states and governments in exile, GIE, in 2026. 1. The military is not the definition of sovereignty. Under the Montevideo Convention and modern UN standards, the definition of sovereignty is legal capacity and legitimacy, not just gunpowder. The problem with force. In the 21st century, if a new country is formed by illegal use of force, e.g., an invasion or a violent coup that violates human rights, international law often invokes the Stimson Doctrine, which says that legal recognition should be withheld from any state created by aggression. Effective control versus legal title. A military gives a new country effective control, de facto. However, sovereignty is a legal title, de jure. Without international recognition, a military-backed state is often treated as an illegal occupant rather than a sovereign nation. 2. Governments in exile, GIE, without a military. Can a government be sovereign if it has no land and no soldiers? Yes. In international law, sovereignty is persistent. If a legitimate government is forced out of its country, its legal sovereignty does not vanish just because it lost its military. Why do countries recognize a GIE without a military? Legal continuity. Recognition is often maintained because the GIE represents the last, legitimate, or constitutionally chosen leadership. The empty chair principle. Sometimes the UN or other nations will leave a seat open for a GIE to prevent the invader or illegal regime from gaining legal status. The power of signature. Even without a military, a recognized GIE can control the country's foreign bank accounts and gold reserves, sign treaties that will be binding when they return, appoint ambassadors who have diplomatic immunity. 3. Countries today with no military, sovereign and recognized. There are roughly 26 sovereign nations that have no standing army at all. They prove that sovereignty is defined by law and diplomatic relations, not military force.
26 countries in the world, after their declaration, was recognized without having military. They are ruling 26 sovereign nations that have no standard arm at all. They prove that sovereignty is identified by law and diplomatic relations, not military force. Are you listening? 26 countries, 26 in this world that we are living right now, that makes their declaration. After their declaration, they did not have military, but they are a country. They even stand without no military. They achieve what? Recognition. And they control their border and their territory. That is why they told you that once a new country is being declared, that the territory will be under dispute of the occupier, not or invader, like Nigerian government in our territory. And they say that they know that when government in exile make declaration that they lack control in their border because of the existing presence of Nigeria in Biafra land, that they do not want us to go and start confronting them. So placing military all over, that is not sovereignty. I hope you are listening. I hope that you are with me and you are paying attention. That is why I ask you, please, I want you to let this program go viral. If you are first time coming, there is a 3 dot in front of you on your right hand side. Look on top of your screen. There is a 3 dot there. Click on that 3 dot. It will open. You will see like and share. Click on that 3 dots. Like the program. Please. Like the program. Let's continue. Remark this place, yo. 26 countries, both old and new. That's what happened. They did not have military. And they have proved to you that military is not sovereignty. Let's continue.
Country. How they handle defense. Why they are sovereign. Costa Rica. Abolished military in 1948. Strong legal institutions and international treaties. TIAR. Vatican City. Protected by Italy. Swiss Guard. Sovereignty. Based on religious/diplomatic status. Iceland. NATO member. No standing army. Full UN member with high legal standing. Panama. Abolished military in 1994. Constitutional guarantee. Police handle internal security. Mauritius. No standing army since 1968. Functions through a specialized police force. 4. Summary. The 21st century reality. If a new country declares independence today, 1. If it has a military but no recognition, it is a de facto state, like Somaliland or Transnistria. It has power but no legal rights in the global system. 2. If it is a government in exile, no military with recognition, it has de jure sovereignty. It has legal rights, like control over money and treaties, but no power on the ground. 3. The definition. In 2026, sovereignty is defined as the internationally recognized right to exercise exclusive authority, a right that comes from the will of the people and international law, not the size of an army. Would you like to analyze a specific recent example, such as the legal status of the National Unity Government, NUG of Myanmar, or the status of Taiwan?
Yes, I hope you are. Oh my God. Our people with lack of information, and when someone will grab fake information, he moves around, make noise, and he claims he knows it all. Well, this means that birds of the same feather must flock together. Birds of the same feather must flock together. I'll play it again. I pause, we explain, we move.
In the 21st century, international law has firmly separated military might from legal sovereignty.
Listen to this. So, in the 21st century, international law, what are these international laws? They are Geneva Convention 1. They are Vienna Convention 1978 too. There are Montevideo Convention 1933. Here they quoted Article 11. These laws are UN Charter. These laws are African charters. Is the one they are talking about. That has, here they said, in the 21st century, international law has firmly separated military from legal sovereignty. What our government is doing is what they call legal sovereignty. That is why I have given to you how everything about Biafra government and the citizens and our sovereignty has been registered officially in the Department of Justice in America. It has been registered. Seeking for, you had it here, diplomatic, legal, political is what they give us this time around to avoid killing of our people, to avoid I here and there. This is what this sovereignty you're talking about there, that is military sovereignty. Are you hearing it here that military is not sovereignty? Military is not what? Sovereignty. I hope you can use your ear and hear it clearly. To answer your question, no. To answer the question on my research about the definition of sovereignty, if military is division of what? Sovereignty, sorry. If to define what sovereignty is by military, no. A military is not the definition of sovereignty. In fact, some of the most sovereign entity has no military, while some entity with a powerful military has no legal sovereignty. Now, between legal sovereignty, which is no military action, and between action military, no legal, no sovereignty, no legal sovereignty, which one is the one for us to choose? Is it not the one that US has accepted to achieve it without what? Without boom, boom, boom everywhere. Boom, boom, boom everywhere. Boom, boom, boom. Is it not that is the best one? They call it what? They call it what? Legal sovereignty. Between legal and illegal in your life, which one is the best one? When you travel to a country, you don't have their paper. What do they call it? It's illegal. When you have paper and stand as citizens of that country, you become what? Their law. You become automatically a legal human being. Because you have what it takes for you to live on their law, and their law will protect you. Are you hearing it? In this 21st century, international laws has firmly separated military might from legal sovereignty. These two things have been separated. To your question, no, military is not a sovereignty. The father said that you might have this military, But the due recognition, which is the international recognition, like what Israel give to Somaliland, will not come to you because of your military, because of violence, because of blood. The world says, hell no to that. That is not sovereignty anymore. Now, listen.
To your question, no. A military is not the definition of sovereignty. In fact, some of the most sovereign entities have no military, while some entities with powerful militaries have no legal sovereignty. Here is how this works for unrecognized states and governments in exile, GIE, in 2026. 1. The military is not the definition of sovereignty. Under the Montevideo Convention and modern UN standards, the definition of sovereignty is legal capacity and legitimacy, not just gunpowder. The problem.
Do you follow up? The military is not the definition of sovereignty. Under the Montevideo Convention, quote, and the modern UN standard, the definition of sovereignty is legal capacity. The definition of sovereignty is legal capacity. Agumani, Shiraya Gawadi Anyema. US government and cabinet members, ahead, you people are doing well. And legitimacy, not just gunpowder, is no longer on the gun, is what gives you a sovereignty. Once you declare a new country from government in exile, that what gives you sovereignty is what? Legal movement. Now I see why in the registration of all the thing from our US government, from our DP and cabinet members, now I see why they said that when you register in Department of Justice or FERA, that when the word allows you to register your movement there, that you have become legal. Now I can understand it clearly. Now I can do you capture this place very well? Under the Montevideo Convention 1933, Article 11, and the modern UN standard, the definition of sovereignty in this 21st century, the definition of sovereignty is legal capacity and legitimacy, not just gunpowder. Boom, no. And I pursue them. Now we, not be them. This no longer there. They are no longer using it at all. The world have moved away from that.
With force. In the 21st century, if a new country is formed by illegal use of force, e.g., an invasion or a violent coup that violates human rights, international law often invokes the Stimson Doctrine, which says that legal recognition should be withheld from any state created by aggression.
Are you hearing it? The problem with force, the problem with what? Military, claiming sovereignty of Ndi Okoko. In the 21st century, if any new country is formed by legal use of force, e.g., an invasion or a violence coup with violating human rights, international law often invoke the sorting of the third line, which says that legal recognition should be withdrawn from any state created by aggression. After our declaration, we decide to go like what those people are thinking and what they're saying, that the recognition we're looking for, that they will withdraw it from us. If we go back and start hitting Nigeria, I bring you the word of Master Simon Ekpe again, that after our declaration, that if anybody is expecting the government to shoot one bullet, that you are deceiving yourself, that is not going to happen anymore. But those things that you will not keep here, then you have the time to train your army. Chai. About Obie, you see roads. That is why we followed you. You are fulfilling all the criteria of Obie. Thank you for doing that for us. Thank you for saving our life. And thank you for bringing normalcy in the homeland. The idiot who said, oh, have you asked yourself, a leader who is fighting for a new country that was arrested before whether declaration or re-declaration, that after the declaration, if his people or his second in command stop armed struggle to use diplomatic, what is the favor for the leader who was arrested? This is a common thing you will think and write up. They will give you an answer. You will be shocked. You will be shocked the answer you are getting, like what I always get for when I start researching. When I start finding answers. Because the more you ask questions, the more you get an answer. No Biafra in no n'imi and kind of national recognition. I gonna jumbo waj ju ndị ọzọ na enweta nke ha. Look at kana gwana gị here. Na enwe contest ndị drop na ha enwe even 101 na ha agba one pokom. Man ha be country today. Man e chango zebe pobra ga egbe. Chango zebe bia control be menetrek man nya boda ka woto. Why can't you as a man why can't you hold that, start that one in your name? If you know you're man enough, if you know you can do something, why can't you form your own group, start woto in your name? You are the one to go in there and stay.
Effective control versus legal title. A military gives a new country effective control, de facto. However, sovereignty is a legal title, de jure. Without international recognition, a military-backed state is often treated as an illegal occupant rather than a sovereign nation.
Are you hearing it? Effective control versus legal title. A military gives a country effective control, de facto. The one that country military are giving to you. However, sovereignty is a legal title. The Jew, that is the international recognition. Whenever you hear D-E-J-U-R-E, Emmanuel, this is the international recognition. Without international recognition, a military backed state is often treated as illegal occupant. Even if we continue, look at how the world are seen and what they that is why they make everything open this time, and that is why we need to go deep to get these things out. So we should stop acting like we know when we never know anything. We stop acting depending on our own, because our own thinking cannot give us recognition. That's the thing that we're supposed to understand. We must continue. I hope you are listening. Have you seen what they define that sovereignty is military? Military is sovereignty. Have you had it today?
Two, Governments in exile, GIE, without a military. Can a government be sovereign if it has no land and no soldiers?
Oh yeah, the question has come. Oh. Can a government be sovereignty if it has no land and the soldier? If it has no land simply means if there is no territory they are controlling, or even border they are controlling, can there be what? Sovereignty. Listen, you.
Yes. In international law, sovereignty is persistent. If a legitimate government is forced out of its country, its legal sovereignty does not vanish just because it lost its military.
What of those that have military and they lost the military? In international law, sovereignty is perspective. If legitimate government is forced out of its country, its legal sovereignty does not vanish just because it lost its military. Now is it clear to you that you might even be in an existing country, but war broke out, you lost your military, you lost everything. What happened? They now said here that what happened? Yes, without no land, like went in exile. I hope you had it here. That your sovereignty is legal. That the sovereignty is what? Legal is the sovereignty. Legal becomes your sovereignty. Not gun and bullet. That's not even gunpowder. And after you have traveled, do you know if Chukwuemeka or the Mebo Juku could have remained in Biafra and start continuing struggling for Biafra, that nothing will happen today. And our declaration simply means that we have regained our sovereignty back. Do you know that? Let's continue.
Why do countries recognize a GIE without a military? Legal continuity. Recognition is often maintained because the GIE represents the last, legitimate, or constitutionally chosen leadership.
Look at why do countries organize a government in exile without a military? And I'll do the question. Why? Santos, you are welcome. Good evening from here. I can greet you. Legal continuity. Recognition is often maintained because the government in exile represents the last legitimacy or constitutional choice leaders.
The empty chair principle. Sometimes the UN or other nations will leave a seat open for a GIE to prevent the invader or illegal regime from gaining legal status. The power of signature. Even without a military, a recognized GIE can control the country's foreign bank accounts and gold reserves, sign treaties that will be binding when they return, appoint ambassadors who have diplomatic immunity. 3. Countries today with no...
There is something I want to piece out from here if you followed carefully. The power of signature. Even without a military, a recognized government in exile can control their country from foreign bank account and gold reserve, sign treaties that will be building when they return. When they return from where? From exile. This government will be in exile, sign treaty, hold it, and be waiting. Once they sign, once they grab their international recognition, now what happened? They will now use those documents they signed when they was in exile to return in their own land to control things. To do what? To control. When they are in exile, because of the legal aspect they have chosen as their sovereignty, what will happen? They have right to control foreign bank accounts and the gold reserve sign treaties that will be built when they return in their homeland in the territory. Appoint ambassadors who have diplomatic immunity. When they are in exile, they start appointing head mission heads, this, that, all these things. You are appointing them, keeping them, registering them in a country where they are under organization while waiting for recognition. Once it comes, you will now return, all these things will return to use them to build a new government or build a new country. Are you listening? Don't be deceived. That era has gone.
A military, sovereign and recognized. There are roughly 26 sovereign nations that have no standing army at all. They prove that sovereignty is defined by law and diplomatic relations, not military force.
Are you listening? There are record of 26 sovereign nation that has no standing arm at all. Do you hear that word? At all. They did not have it. And what happened? Let's continue listening. They prove that the sovereignty is identified by law and diplomatic relations, not military force. Sovereignty is not by military. Sovereignty is not by military force. And I'm going here, when you know nothing about sovereignty. So, as we are listening, what is our sovereignty now? Our sovereignty is legal movement of this government of US has chosen. That is what the world see as a sovereignty. They see sovereignty. Sovereignty is defined by law and diplomatic relations, not military force. Here are how they handle defense, why they are sovereign. Listen to this. Costa Rica, 1948, after their declaration, they abolished military for them to seek what? Get recognition very fast. Costa Rica abolished military. Remember, in Biafra land, our government did not abolish the military, but it said, stop showcasing yourself, stop knocking woto. Let there be peace. For us to achieve what Costa Rica achieved, they always, like they said, they abolished military. Our DPM did not abolish military like this, so then if she had thought that she abolished the military, what would happen? What could be the case? Strong legal institution and the international treaties being signed when they abolish military has signed very strong legal treaties and relations that are proving that they are what? Sovereignty.
Country. How they handle defense. Why they are sovereign. Costa Rica. Abolished military in 1948. Strong legal institutions and international treaties. TIAR. Vatican City. Protected by Italy. Swiss Guard. Sovereignty. Based on religious/diplomatic status.
Are you hearing it? Sovereignty based on religions, diplomatic status. This is the sovereignty, not military. Not military force is not the sovereignty. Let's continue. Let us see another country again. We have counted 2. Let us count again.
Iceland. NATO member. No standing army. Full UN member with high legal standing.
Do you hear this one? Iceland, NATO member, no standing army at all. No standing army. And what happened? Full UN member with a high legal standard. These are countries that's in the, you know about Iceland. You know about Costa Rica. You know about this one in Italy. You know about Panama. Listen again.
Panama. Abolished military in 1994. Constitutional guarantee. Police handle internal security. Mauritius. No standing
Are
army
you-
since 1968. Functions through a specialized police force.
No standing what? Army. Mauritius. Our people are calling today from Mauritius to contribute money. And somebody might be in Mauritius today, be advising you that you have that military is sovereignty. That military is sovereignty. Mauritius, no standing army since 1968 as they are moving until they are getting their fully international recognition. Let's continue.
4. Summary. The 21st century reality. If a new country declares independence today, 1. If it has a military but no recognition, it is a de facto state, like Somaliland or Transnistria. It has power but no legal rights in the global system. 2. If it is a government in exile, no military with recognition, it has de jure sovereignty. It has legal rights, like control over money and treaties, but no power on the ground. 3. The definition. In 2026, sovereignty is defined as the internationally recognized right to exercise exclusive authority, a right that comes from the will of the people and international law, not the size of an army. Would you like to analyze a specific...
Chai, our people, once you hate somebody, you start lying. When the person is not in your level, you want to drag him or her to your level, you start rubbishing the person's name. The definition of sovereignty in 2026, listen, in this 2026, everything is, there is a new laws that has been implemented. Sovereignty is sovereignty is defined as the international recognition right to exercise exclusive authority. A right that comes from the will of the people and the international law, not the size of military. Well, I'm contributing money, but there is no military. Who owns my sovereignty? Is it USB or Nigeria? Fool. Nah, Kogiri. I hope it sounds clear to the Biafran people this evening. And I hope that you have fully understand. You can defend yourself anytime when this issue of sovereignty comes up again. I hope with this, you can defend yourself. When anybody presents military sovereignty, that's what is sovereignty, this and that. They even said that the government, that those who claim sovereignty in their home territory, and give an example of Somalia for over all these years. Do you see why Somaliland, they waited for 34 years? Because they have military. They may have military. They may be showcasing with Somaliland, with Somalia. It could also be part of what triggers the delay for them to be a country. Except Israel come 2025. December 26 to give them international recognition. And they said here that the government in exile without one military can get international recognition to prove sovereignty. Sovereignty becomes what? International recognition is the sovereignty. What bingo? You know, not kinyo. I hope you have get it clear this evening. This is a pure truth. I back it up with Geneva Convention, Vienna Convention. I back it up with UN Charter, African Charter. I back it up with what again? Montevideo Convention, the first one, has taken a criteria of a sovereignty is a permanent population. Criteria for sovereignty is what? Permanent population, defined territory, effective government, capacity to sign treaties and agreements. This is what they called what? Sovereignty. Any other thing. And they said that gun and powder is not sovereignty. Gun and powder. You know what? You understand it clearly. It's not at all sovereignty. Are you listening? Costa Rica abolished their own military after their declaration for them to achieve recognition. Iceland, Panama, Mauritius. You also had here why the world refused to recognize Northern Korea. As you know what? They said that it's because of the military action they are taking. That is why they refused to recognize them. Do you not hear it here with me? It's no longer what I think, it's no longer what you think, it's what the world wants us to do, is what we shall implement. And the United States of Biafra has implemented this perfectly. That is why we are moving. That is why Biafra USB topic is on the world stage everywhere, like a people of Amazonia also. This is the two states right now that are on top of the table of every world. They are listening. They are finding a way to how to end it. So when they bring that their fake news come to you, do not mind them. Do not listen to them. I will play it fully before I go to another one.
Specific recent example, such as the legal status of the National Unity Government, NUG of Myanmar, or the status of Taiwan. In the 21st century, international law has firmly separated military might from legal sovereignty. To your question, no. A military is not the definition of sovereignty. In fact, some of the most sovereign entities have no military, while some entities with powerful militaries have no legal sovereignty. Here is how this works for unrecognized states and governments in exile, GIE, in 2026. 1. The military is not the definition of sovereignty. Under the Montevideo Convention and modern UN standards, the definition of sovereignty is legal capacity and legitimacy, not just gunpowder. The problem with force. In the 21st century, if a new country is formed by illegal use of force, e.g., an invasion or a violent coup that violates human rights, international law often invokes the Stimson Doctrine, which says that legal recognition should be withheld from any state created by aggression. Effective control versus legal title. A military gives a new country effective control, de facto. However, sovereignty is a legal title, de jure. Without international recognition, a military-backed state is often treated as an illegal occupant rather than a sovereign nation. 2. Governments in exile, GIE, without a military. Can a government be sovereign if it has no land and no soldiers? Yes. In international law, sovereignty is persistent. If a legitimate government is forced out of its country, its legal sovereignty does not vanish just because it lost its military. Why do countries recognize a GIE without a military? Legal continuity. Recognition is often maintained because the GIE represents the last, legitimate, or constitutionally chosen leadership. The empty chair principle. Sometimes the UN or other nations will leave a seat open for a GIE to prevent the invader or illegal regime from gaining legal status. The power of signature. Even without a military, a recognized GIE can control the country's foreign bank accounts and gold reserves, sign treaties that will be binding when they return, appoint ambassadors who have diplomatic immunity.
Pick that word when they return. Ben, thank you so much. They are listening to my program. They are listening. Moreover, 419 is listening. He's listening to my program. Do not mind them. And because of people like them, That is why we will continue on this true path that is somehow missing all these years in this movement that we are into. The truth is that's why I said I am here to give them that bitter truth and that thing they have never think in their entire life to hear. That thing they cannot be able to do. That hard one is one I want to do to this movement because it's going to do what? Do a lot. Honestly. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it is. But you who is always watching me, maybe might testify the weight of what I'm doing. I'm just doing a little thing I think I should do. The little. As my little level. These things that are bothering me I want about my government is what I am bringing out. This is what makes me to summon courage to put my face on social media because I know that once a government go into Lagos, nobody will arrest anybody again. They do not understand. They do not understand the power of that registration. Do you know that in all this registration, that money is involved? You know that all this going to UN, going to all these places that they have bring out to you, money, millions of dollars, thousands of dollars are involved. Sometimes I will just tell you openly, instead of Tongozi Arabeze and the community members, they are using their raw cash to fight for this movement that we are into. Honestly. That is why you must respect and give them accolade at all times. That's why you must thank them, praise them, give them praises because they deserve it. I know what I saw, and I know what gave me morale to stand. And I ask God to give me more strength to do more than this I'm doing. Now that I understand what it simply means when you make a declaration of a new country, I now believe that I am on the right track of what I am doing. That is why it is very, very imperative that you pay attention to your government. That is why it's very imperative. Do not mind these gullibles. Do not mind these rebels. In the eyes of the international community, what they are doing today, Ugo 247 is doing today, is what people of Finland did, the Red Finland people. What Ugo 419 is doing today is what people of America did in their own time. That is what he's doing, all of them today. After the declaration has to know, they start bullying the government, they start lying, they start insulting. Had I know will come at last to everybody. Because once I always use that word had I know because of what I know, what I find out in myself, that the governments are taking us home. You see this thing we're reading here, they have maintained all these laws. They abide by the rules of the international global community. They abide by the rules that controls the world. That is also proving that we are effective government. That is what they are proving to us. That thing that they ask you to prove, to claim what that thing that our sovereignty is. You see that one thing is not sovereignty, one thing does not mean sovereignty. But there is most four important criteria of sovereignty. It's not by gun and bullet. It's not by the size of military. That is why they give us names of countries that they say they abolish it out totally. Costa Rica, Panama, and more. They said it's 26 good countries in the world did not use. They are not even talking of people like Amazonia, those that they never got the recognition. They are not talking about them. They are only talking about those that have become right now a member of the UN. A member of the Security Council is the one I'm talking about. You had it yesterday, why? Thank you. They say both having land on ground is not a criteria of a sovereignty. The sovereignty is what? Legal movement of the United States of Biafra on government in exile. The legal, it becomes your sovereignty. Remember when we read here, they said that they are doing all these things to make sure that achieve recognition for when they will return, everything will be working very fast. That they should appoint ambassadors. They should have foreign bank accounts in abroad. That the ones they go into their homeland, they will maintain those things. It has become existing government already. Not until you fold your hand, start before you become proving sovereignty. I hope you listen carefully this evening. And I hope you go home with something. That's also why I allow the program to play, so you may adopt things that you want to go home with. What we are doing here, but the truth, we don't miss it anything. We say it the way it is. Now, we are going into 2026, the program, the template of the world, once a new country is being declared outside. And do you know that as I'm talking to you, they have started comparing USB with some countries in the world that have achieved their recognition from exile without knocking. Yes, the comparison has started. And I might give you. Do you want to hear the comparison of what your government is doing? That countries that have done it in the past and they achieve recognition, they become a country, member of UN today. Do you want me to give you countries that now they have started comparing? Because our topic, we are the headlines of the world this time around. I asked you a question in the comment section. Do you want me to give you this comparison of the USB with existing countries that are under the UN right now? Do you want it? I will see your comment if you want me to play that document. Please, if you never like the program, I urge you to like this program, please. I urge you to like this program. If you never do that, my question is, do you want to see comparison of your government with countries that are members of the UN that have achieved their recognition? Do you want me to play it, or you want me to still keep it? If you want me to play it, I want to see yes or no in the comment section. Do you want me to play it? So you will know that your government is on the right track. You do not mind those who are making mockery of themselves. It's like Biafrans are no longer here. So if you are nobody answered me, then that means we are going to draw the curtain. If nobody wants to know the comparison of USB and some countries right now, because the world gives an example. All things are histories in making. And when the histories are making, they are putting it where it's supposed to belong. When you ask a question, they give you to the answer direct. That is why it is good for you to make a research so you will understand what's what so simply mean. I am waiting for your yes or your no if you want to hear it, but I must continue on this one.
It is a common misconception that a standing military is a requirement for sovereignty. In reality, about 21 to 25...
The man of misconception, come and hear what they told you. Misconception. I wish the phone or
sovereign nations operate without a traditional army, navy, or air force. These countries maintain their independence through a combination of international law, diplomatic treaties, and specialized police forces. Notable countries without a military. Country, how they stay sovereign. Costa Rica abolished its military in 1948. It relies on the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance and a highly trained national police force. Iceland, a member of NATO but has no standing army. Its defense is guaranteed by NATO allies, specifically the United States, via a bilateral agreement. Panama, abolished its military in 1994 following a US invasion. It maintains public forces, police, border and aero-naval services for internal security. Vatican City, protected by Italy for external defense. The famous Swiss Guard is a small ceremonial unit primarily responsible for the Pope's safety. Mauritius has not had a standing army since 1968. It maintains a special mobile force, paramilitary, for internal security and receives support from India. How they maintain sovereignty. Sovereignty is primarily a legal status recognized by the United Nations. These nations protect that status using three main strategies. 1. Defense treaties. Many small nations have formal agreements where a larger protector nation guarantees their security. The Compact of Free Association. The US is responsible for the defense of Palau, Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands. Treaty of Friendship. New Zealand provides defense support to Samoa. 2. Permanent neutrality. Countries like Liechtenstein and Andorra maintain a policy of strict neutrality, which is recognized by their neighbors, Switzerland, Austria, and France, Spain respectively. 3. Paramilitary police. Most militaryless countries actually have specialized police units. These units handle border patrol and maritime surveillance, performing many of the functions of a coast guard or light infantry without the political weight of a standing army. Why give up a military? Most of these countries chose to disband their militaries to prevent military coups, common in Latin America, or to redirect massive defense budgets toward education and healthcare, as seen in Costa Rica. Would you like me to find more details on a specific region, such as the defense agreements of the Pacific Island nations?
Please, our line is open in case if anybody want to call us on this program, please. If you want to call us, you have number +9 7 3 60 51 337. That is the number to call. I mean +9 7 3 60 51 337. That is the number you can call if you want to make a contribution on what we are doing this evening. If you can, it is very important for you to do that if you wish to do that, because what we are doing is very, very important to us. So, like I said, the number still remain +9 7 3 60 51 337. So that is the number to call. 337. That is the number to call. Because we will not do it alone. We need everybody to join once we are doing it. Now, I will not end. I have given you abroad. Let's come to Africa without military. Listen.
In Africa, there is only one sovereign nation that operates without any standing military, Mauritius. While other African island nations like Seychelles and São Tomé and Príncipe are sometimes grouped into this category because their forces are extremely small, they do technically maintain official military branches. 1. Mauritius, the only fully demilitarized state. Mauritius is widely recognized as the only African country without a standing army. Since its independence in 1968, it has maintained its sovereignty and international recognition through a unique police-led security model. Security structure. All security, military and police functions are integrated under the Mauritius Police Force, MPF, commanded by a Commissioner of Police. Specialized units. Instead of an army, it uses paramilitary units for high-level security. Special Mobile Force, SMF, a 1,500-member unit that handles internal security and disaster response. National Coast Guard, a 500-member unit that monitors its vast maritime territory. Sovereignty strategy. Mauritius relies on soft power, strong democratic. As of January 2026, there is no new international law that automatically grants sovereignty to a declared country without international recognition and without a military. Sovereignty in international law remains governed primarily by the Montevideo Convention, 1933, and the United Nations Charter. For an entity to be recognized as a sovereign state, it typically needs 4 things. 1. A permanent population. 2. A defined territory. 3. A government. 4. The capacity to enter into relations with other states, which requires recognition from others. Here is the current landscape in 2026 regarding this gray area of sovereignty. 1. The engagement without recognition, EWR, trend. While the law hasn't changed, the practice has evolved. In 2026, international legal debates are focusing on engagement without recognition. This allows international bodies, like the UN or EU, to work with de facto states, places that act like countries but aren't recognized, on issues like human rights or climate change, without officially acknowledging them as sovereign. An entity can exist and govern its people without a military, but without recognition from the UN or other major powers. It cannot sign treaties, join international organizations, or protect its borders using international law. 2. Recent examples of recognition battles. There are specific cases in 2026 where entities are seeking recognition while emphasizing their peaceful, non-military nature. Somaliland. In 2025 and early 2026, the Republic of Somaliland Independence Act has been a major topic in the US Congress. Somaliland has functioned independently from Somalia for decades and is often cited as a stable, democratic entity, though it does maintain a small defense force. Southern Transitional Council, Yemen. Recently, in January 2026, declarations regarding a sovereign state in southern Yemen have surfaced. However, like others, these lack broad international recognition despite their control on the ground. 3. The role of the military in 2026 sovereignty. Under current international law, having a military is not a requirement for sovereignty. As mentioned before, Mauritius remains the gold standard in Africa for a sovereign nation with full recognition and no army. However, for a newly declared entity, the lack of a military often makes it harder to maintain effective control of territory, which is a key legal requirement for statehood. Summary of the legal reality. Status. Requirement. Can it have no military? Sovereign state. UN recognition plus government. Yes, e.g., Mauritius, Costa Rica. Unrecognized entity. Control of territory, plus population. Yes, but very vulnerable. New 2026 laws. None. No new law grants automatic sovereignty. Important note. International law in early 2026 has been heavily focused on the prohibition of force. Recent events, such as the US military intervention in Venezuela in January 2026, have sparked global debate about how sovereignty is protected when a nation's political independence is challenged by a more powerful state. Would you like me to look into a specific unrecognized territory to see if its legal status has changed recently?
Why I am doing all these things for you to find out the truth about sovereignty. Have you heard here that military is the sovereignty? Have you? That protecting your territory, land is sovereignty. The game has changed. That's why I told you that the music that we're playing now is a new music. We must learn how to dance this music with the world for us to achieve our official international recognition. It is very important. It doesn't matter what you think or what you say, but the truth at the right time must prevail. That is why you can't stop it. That is why what? We can't stop it. It simply means you have made it clearly to you to understand it this evening that what happened, that nobody will do what? Use military to confuse you. It's not about military. It's about what the world wants at this stage that we are into. It's about how they program it, because you can't jump and do your own. You have to remain under their own law. You have to stand with it. When you drop arms struggle, they also understand that this is a peaceful movement of a new country. That's what are they looking for? That they are seeking for what? One thing. Officially what? Official international recognition is only one thing they are looking for, not sovereignty. Sovereignty is population of human being, not gunpowder, not military.
In the 21st century, the definition of sovereignty for a new country declared by a government in exile, GIE, is a complex blend of traditional territory-based rules and modern rights-based diplomacy. Under international law, the UN Charter, the Montevideo Convention, and the African Charter, sovereignty is not just about having a military, it is about the legal right to exercise supreme authority. 1. The 4 pillars of sovereignty, Montevideo criteria. The foundation of statehood remains the 1933 Montevideo Convention. For a government in exile to declare a new country, they must aim to satisfy these 4 criteria, though the 21st century interpretation is more flexible. Permanent population. A specific group of people who identify with the new state. defined territory. Even if the GIE doesn't physically control the land yet, because it is occupied or contested, they must claim a specific geographic area. Government. The GIE must function as a political body capable of making decisions and representing the people. Capacity to enter relations. The ability to sign treaties and talk to other nations. This is the GIE's strongest tool. 2. The legitimacy shift in the 21st century. Historically, you needed effective control, an army on the ground. Today, international law increasingly prioritizes legitimacy over physical force. The right of self-determination. Under the UN Charter and African Charter, Article 20, if a people are fighting against domination or colonialism, their government in exile is often viewed as the sovereign representative even before they win the war. Declaratory theory. Most modern scholars follow the declaratory theory, which says a state exists the moment it meets the criteria, regardless of whether other countries recognize it. However, for a GIE, recognition is essentially their air supply. Without it, they cannot function. 3. De jure versus de facto sovereignty. In the case of a government in exile, international law splits sovereignty into two types. Type. Definition. Requirement. De jure, by law, the legal right to rule, based on international law, treaties, and the will of the people. De facto, in fact, the physical power to rule, based on military control, tax collection, and policing the streets. The 21st century reality. A government in exile holds de jure sovereignty. They are the legal owners of the country's rights, like bank accounts or UN seats, even if another group holds de facto power through military force. 4. Proving effective government without military. You ask if they must show military force. In the 21st century, a GIE can prove it is an effective government through civilian governance, such as 1. Issuing passports, if other countries accept their travel documents. 2. Diplomatic missions, having embassies in foreign capitals. 3. Representing the people, showing that the population back home supports the GIE, e.g., through underground movements or protests. 4. Managing resources, handling the nation's frozen assets or international aid. Summary. In the modern Monde world, sovereignty is the legal status granted by the international community. While the military helps you take territory, your sovereignty comes from being recognized as the legitimate voice of a people under the UN Charter. Would you?
This is end of it. I hope it sounds clear to you. In the modern world, sovereignty is a legal status granted by the international community. Why a military help? You can take territory. Your sovereignty comes from being organized as a legitimate voice of people under the UN Charter. Sovereignty. Military. Do not go there. It doesn't work anymore. Like I said, we have more 5 minutes. Our line is open in case if anyone has a chance to call on this program. The number to call still remains the same number. Plus 9733-6051-337. That is the number. Chino, I just watched where you said something. The power, recognition. This is huge. I called you. No, I called you a number. Yeah, but I am here. So you can hear it clearly. Oh, my phone is on silent now. Wow. Oh, well, sorry, Jelen, why my number is on silent? I don't even know.
Just few words. Good evening from my side here,
Yeah.
and good evening, Watch. I was watching from behind because I wasn't steady following you. So I came back and I was watching from where I stopped, and I heard you said something. The power of registration, in other words, power of this declaration.
Yeah.
That because of this registration that made it legal, nobody can harass or arrest anybody. That was why you put your face. That gave you courage. This is huge. This is huge. It's so deep.
People don't understand
But
it.
some people. Hello?
Go on.
Yeah, Yeah, my dear friend people, this is huge. I don't know if anybody can hear this thing. It's huge. It's one of the achievements. When people ask you what is the achievement of the Tongozi Arabese, standing tall, standing strong, gidibam to declare this USB. It's huge. It's huge.
People do not understand it.
I don't know. When you say that thing, the thing I want, that is anywhere can the thing see women now.
Anywhere you are, if they arrested you, let's go to this government. You know, once they submit the document to this government in that place, a second law begging. It's been registered, and then the register ya abona America, ebe UN, ebe authority of the world is where na abia. You may go to register ebe.
Yeah. My brother, do you know now some people when this our brother Maazi Oluchi one God Akwadafia.
Yes.
Oluchi one God Akwadafia, yeah.
Yeah.
That man from I don't know Bobuda or no, but I think I am one year this today. This testimony about how somebody actually deport to somebody. Here present ID, Biafran ID. That deportation was reversed. Reversed, yeah. Some people may see it as he just saying it for saying sake, maybe or something like that. But when you listen to Chino this night in this program, honestly, you will not doubt that that incident, honestly. Because that thing, once registered, once you declare and register this thing, all will go legal. All will go legal. And anybody bearing that nation, that new declared nation ID or passport, Omego begin documented. Omego begin men. Mazi Simon ever said it. Omego begin one identity. You can be identified as so person from Biafra, Biafra getting one nation. Yeah. You know, this is so huge. People think deep about it. And this, our brothers, because they are no boots on ground. You can hear it tonight that boots on ground is not even one of the things, it's not in the criteria to be a sovereign.
And the Nigeria deny recognition and keep Azua. Now this 2026.
And Agency deny. You know, you are doing so much. You are doing so much.
No, we will do much when our gadget land. We will do more because there is how I want to do this thing. Oh God.
Who go 247 anger rallies around these men on ground. They are not. Can you see it now? With or without men on ground, it's not a criteria for recognition.
It's they give an example. 6 countries, their military abolished. The Costa Rica are abolished. Here we are in police. Me afopa. A Parliament abolished. Iceland are abolished. La Haini, they how we making water recognition. Now that is back. I'm thinking about Obatobi. Now after our declaration. Na mamba ofu mgbe ọzọkwa na Biafra ọzọ.
He said it now. Okuria said so many of them, so many people later after declaration on the second down, second.
Yeah.
After the 2nd of December, so many people will be looking out for a war. But there will be no war. No war. It's time to go into complete diplomatic and legal movement. If we go now, ugo 247. I don't know her. Person how generals and the nama the how general. You know, all of them. They thought now this army Kageji will we snatch up this freedom from Nigeria when you were told our Onyendu said it. Mazi Simon Ekpa said it. Now the law Chinua Achebe all the time, all the international laws said it.
Now he move go from military sovereignty or military to control the threat. Now move out of it. Never now legal, diplomatic, political pressure. Never for now. Now ha chose the queer. And now saying that as of this 2026 January, na amended 21st century
21st century, I heard that. Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Doing that boot on ground will even deny you recognition.
Yes.
It is there. It is there. So why these people now, have you seen that you have messed yourself up? You left. You left USBAB Kwesireno just because you are not seeing Woto. Where is this Gafia Faceless Unite? Where is this Faceless Unite? All of them. All Remigius. All of them. Because of this no Woto. That was their major point. How do they criticize USB?
How more organized? How many more organized between my Benny and Cobra? So it's already not accused.
No, let me just take it that they were saying this thing out of ignorance, right? Now, can you listen to these things now? Pass this message, all of you. If you know their handle, tag them. Let them listen for once and get brain, get sense. Because I will not look. It's one thing to blame somebody that knows that have the information, knows the truth, but the person is still don't want to do the right thing. Then it's another thing that somebody don't even know that what the person is asking for is not the right way to do that thing. Because I can tell you that some of them, like so many things we are here, honestly, let me tell you. I was thinking, if not that you started this journey, you are doing that, giving us all this information. Myself, I was thinking, wow, that military on ground, so they help to liberate or give us this recognition. Also, because wherever I know, Mazal commands in Namdekalu Jian with say, no, now, woman, I work before police are there jogging. If you don't misunderstanding, nobody will come and ask you what is happening. So that was the thing this as one of the things again international country what is happening. But having this thing in Akuzila, listening to all of these things, it's not even near any criteria
at all. Even
for
first criteria for him and all the almost 12 criteria.
It will even hinder it.
No get India. A mere example, I said Northern Cyprus. No, to recognize it in a hard humanitarian in this 21st century, where Zobanka now chose here again. No get hinder your recognition. Now I have preferred government in exile, peace movement with recognition. Now I prefer. Kezi inochazie here. I will na there were two criteria. The Jew international recognition. The facto Boniji military ni we can was a full military man nweta international recognition. E we kwa yese na yemre nke Somaliland ji we gbu oge bụ na ha bịara feel in the first ha ga military we ga emia until ha bịa drop ya now ha enwele official international recognition. Only kinyo on the by emere ha. What do they want? I know time this will take me to do it. I know my time. But it's my freedom.
Like this, everybody will get to know the real thing. Guys will come to know that actually this thing our government now is doing is actually what they're supposed to be doing, not the other way around. You know what I mean? Because so many people now, so many people can all that way to the way forward, not knowing that Dr. Ngozi Onabeze is actually following what she's supposed to follow. On the advice here or wherever she's getting this way of doing this thing. On point. And I say, may you continue like this.
That's
pressure. You know, when people put her on pressure, all the when this press release, why Madumero, where casually. Now, they cannot even listen to the message. Here they know the surrounding, the environment, how the messenger was sitting.
That is
if we're enemies, there is never a time we get enemies.
The issue local enemies.
You can never do them. You see?
Iwe shita na Jesus Christ sebria asi gbogbo wants happen onye ohi bank anyị na ndị niile anọ right now onye ọbụla dị against the corruption na ọdụ kan n'oge Jesus Christ asị hey ha private na bas onye ohi maka gbogbo ezigbo mmadụ igbe mmadụ ekwe yo ihe na-emekịta mana nke anyị na-ekwu okwu na nke anyị igbe mmadụ nọ na USB ihe na-ewute m sometimes bụ na-etu mmụọ ịdabara obi bụ mbịala ya mgbe ụfọdụ anọgo program 2 hours ọ bụ 26 people mana ya like. Please, message need to go viral too much. Can they mad on me? My happiness, I wanna. Up to so only today. 5 number add. Do you know na? Me pele that WhatsApp pause. My phone now, phone but 3 WhatsApp because of what? Can we make store number? That 10 numbers in the same Biafra. Please share us your old and new message. You want to listen to it? So I was that one alone. I am happy. Only today, 10 people. Can add it today. Now my WhatsApp group. Now my WhatsApp. When group, take time share these days. One of my SIM cards, we go 128 people also be African share them anyway. So with your time, all depend on once our post time also. Or when they not by now. When they ever had a high just earpiece near Geria. When they want to have an avatar. So a lot of things. But here, but they run over an email. The na ihe mebre mwa. Karapu Biafra and their rapo. Ewe no chacha mgbe na platform as humble na benji nwa na research no nwa mo go the first na achọgharị ụzọ research before mbe nwetazi ebe m na-eje ejizu platform we build on myself on this moment yes ihe mere m we tii on social media ihe ahụ ma na ihe ahụ ayi god asking onwe mbosi no 2 tears of joy and now ihe na-ebere ihe akwa na-ebe so I am going home very soon so here that nobody will arrest me anymore. And the next here, any control Gabo, now you will pardon saboteurs along you when you are fighting for your recognition. Now you are people saboteurs, that you will leave them until you achieve it. Man, any other country, any comment na USB that you are Biafra, no Biafra but terrorists, the government will sue them in ICJ and have them must come and answer. Okay, give me how to see me. What is that? So the government, the legal aspect of it, but everything. Look at it. That's legal is what? Sovereignty. Legal is what? Sovereignty. Na many trouble have sovereignty.
You see?
For you na mo nyori, na mo boy nka Brian cause. Play the voice here. And all voice here men jigazi deep about sovereignty. What has the country in the
when you send the message?
Yes, I want message. This William Don Pedro. Na group ebe ha no.
What the same Pedro no? You see?
Us na mo go
no paper who na watch pa.
Ona watch
him. Human being.
Us ona agwa Victor Saga no that person okukwe. Na that boy na ogwo okwu ya buru Biafra law no life onye ohi ya. Like him la mo la shop. La recruit rum ka mbele mbabi and like go kam la ya kan se ye ala ma ye go na your obo support want a gadget now ega ha fla $550 goes also now e bi ze gadget ya ho nwa bu Don Pedro we tizie ge mawo n'isi and agwa me ase ya na enyere me platform ka obia kwuo ko ihe nchoro ka o mere mo bu ya were ihu ya pụta Any medical argument. I won't argue, but you put your face. I won't argue with your voice. I want to see your face.
So now, which WhatsApp on the link?
I'm on WhatsApp group one, but only follow me for the message. April the voice here now.
Oh, okay. I get it.
So I only follow.
But even at the same thing for the here call the mail. Oh, very apparent. I play for him. Nah, about the same thing as American. I just know what to tell you now, Gary. Platform to platform, and you know one thing. One thing about him is this: he will come. Rebata keju.
Yes.
One bed.
So make ezigbo
mmadụ. You want to go direct chance no we are if I get the chapa game my teacher against just to call you for you what you for no one. The man I see what and don't on so many names abata.
So many names
from what was I construct a comment here, Igamapa Noya, and when was on the Quebo, Mama I told you that this is the Pedro. Oh, yeah. Oh, to say, so you know, it's great.
Yes,
so that day, I'm not to know because I'm the owner that I don't target a kind. I'm on one again and take Elena. But I pay for a game and kind. Hey, I'm an own heat.
My message, I will send them voice note and play here. And do you know now only onye bụ governor steeti Odimegwu ọmụ bụ nke Ikemba ọmụ bụ nke governor governor Ikemba because see na ọmụnwa bụ governor Ikemba. Even I na-ekwu okwu mgbe na play with the one send them voice, the governor send them voice. A player even the voice say which one na speak out ọ na-ekwu m hapụ ọnya. No, I mean, no, claim they are so
Kai report dealt with him last time. Kai report no but allow Kai report only a hot seat. Kai report
that day.
I like to hear Kai report to me. I'm not the don't judge to bear the Pedro.
Combine also okay. Now, with here, uncle, near what I get and give away weather in a comment section. No, the Portugal uche. Oh, he came out of my band.
Yeah, to the extent that Kai report so many things on the accept. Oma was before. No, support to. No support USB, no support there. And when you report to Julia, yeah, man, that thing now implicates him. Imayoku, no support to USB. Yes, but listen, no support to USB. Yes, no, your mom, no support to USB.
Yeah, but don't have because I am not going over. We have no have him very well. Young Romo Biafra one now. Today, all and Kai put about sovereignty Zuberi, what I call more about sovereignty Bukuria. I go them in Africa and they want to from Africa without one single minute.
All this question, I to carry this question, and it was actually the reason we always this question go Jagan. Na USB na Brigi na Zozi Biafra in exile. Government in exile as na Zozi. But I don't know, these people, you cannot even nothing you will say that they will take home with. You understand?
That is
all their problem.
And also, Biafra USB and anybody else government in exile. Nka Owen Kenji ever asked na the declaration happened November 29, 2024. Now this is the authentic government of the people of Biafra. All the document here. So that's why we don't panic. And when I say anything, the world knows the truth. the world knows the truth. And that is why I want to go back. There was a question a voice says, mentally matter about Finland history again. Can't really reflect of our people's mind. Can you rack up all results? Because if I na gaffer now, being Finland gaffer red and white. America gaffer here. In America, say, who you talk now out of 56 men, I'm signing with their signature in America, a country. Do you know that 570
500
did I sign
I think
America?
don't bang the support. Yeah.
Now how talk America a country? But what happened? The recognition goes to 25, 56 people did I sign in America a country because of that declaration. Our I think yes, I have played the importance of declaration document.
Chino, in actual sense, shouldn't that be like a referendum? When majority says no, shouldn't that be like a referendum?
Oh, okay. In America, referendum here the movement of rebel, toys, pulpit, and loyalists. Because my referendum, the 578 sign na ha join here. Nanga madu 56 sign.
Yeah.
As continental, continental congressmen in every state.
Now, Chino, do you know now this is one of the power of registration and declaration. The power of declaration.
That is it.
Oh, yeah,
the power. The power of registration, but a power of what? Recognition. Power of declaration.
Recognition.
Power of declaration.
Yeah, legal.
Legal and the recognition. Then the power of recognition is a total sovereignty in one side. The other side, I'm working on a permanent population, defined territory, effective government, capacity to sign agreements and treaties with other countries. That you must be a country before you will sign agreement of international recognition.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe time if you like you do it. Power of registration, power of declaration and registration. Yes. Then, okay, for this American code, always very good reference. Always very good reference because the GAG 500 went to near 50 something, but because of declaration 56. And registration, you see. So it's a very good one to use as a reference for this power of registration. If that could be a head or a topic to treat for.
No, honestly. Because on this issue of sovereignty, I must be going more deep on it. Issue of sovereignty, territorial integrity, recognition, and the registration leads to sovereignty. All these things need to be taken time. Why I play many of them today, by tomorrow, I will be choosing one and two. I will leave it. Next time, 1 and 2, I will leave it. That is the only thing that I will be doing. The only thing I'm waiting for, once this laptop is being completed, then I will be cutting this program on 10 minutes. So I will listen to it very well.
Yeah. Up another one, yes. Like short video.
Short videos. Okay, every week.
Yes. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Okay, Wantino, let me just.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming because I'm rounding up already. I thank God that you come in. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bless you. Yeah.
Yes. So, people of Biafra, like I always said, do not be panicked. Do not be deceived. The era of deceived is no longer accepted. The truth must be told at all times. Nobody will stop us. It's only we can stop ourselves. This declaration document, the world knows the truth. Forgets anything that is going around. This thing is not that we are looking at it the way that we are African people. We are seeing it the way we see things in our own way, in our family problems. It's not like that. The world understand where exactly they stand. Look at people of Finland. And we're red and white. The white Burundi made declaration that Finland must be a country and have document, that authentic document of declaration. When Germany and Soviet Union came to support and make sure that everything went well, they asked, who are those that make external declaration that gives them power to talk? As if these people of white are the one who make declaration. Who owns the document? Who are the one holding the document? The whites are the one holding the document. Germany, Soviet Union, and other countries went to them, grant them recognition, support them to chase away Russia. This is how Finland become a country. No amount of your sabotage. The only thing you can do is destiny can be delayed, but it cannot be denied. The destiny of people of Somaliland of becoming a country was delayed, but today they are what? A country. And in all our reading this evening, they said, you must be a country before other countries will look at you. You must, whether government in exile, they even said that when a government in exile make declaration without military control, without even having one military, that they prefer them because they are keeping the peace of the world that will grant them international recognition. That they don't need anymore wasting of people's life. They don't want this by anymore. They only want people that reason very well, abide by the law, sovereign, legal. The legality of this movement is what? That is sovereignty. That is what? Sovereignty. I will play more one before I will shut the program down. It is very imperative because the government of USB is doing absolutely 100% well. Do not panic. Listen to this.
Like me to analyze a specific modern example, like the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic or the National Unity Government of Myanmar, to see how they apply these laws.
Listen to this.
In the 21st century, the definition of sovereignty for a new country declared by a government in exile, GIE, is a complex blend of traditional territory-based rules and modern rights-based diplomacy. Under international law, the UN Charter, the Montevideo Convention and the African Charter, sovereignty is not just about having a military, it is about the legal right to exercise supreme authority. 1. The 4 pillars of sovereignty, Montevideo criteria. The foundation of statehood.
The 4 pillars of sovereignty. The 4 pillars of sovereignty.
Remains the 1933 Montevideo Convention. For a government in exile to declare a new country, they must aim to satisfy these 4 criteria, though the 21st century interpretation is more flexible. Permanent population. A specific group of people who identify with the new state. Defined territory. Even if the GIE doesn't physically control the land yet, because it is occupied or contested, they must claim a specific geographic area. Government. The GIE must function as a political body capable of making decisions and representing the people. Capacity to enter relations. The ability to sign treaties and talk to other nations. This is the GIE's strongest tool. 2. The legitimacy shift in the 21st century. Historically, you needed effective control, an army on the ground. Today, international law increasingly prioritizes legitimacy over physical force. The right of self-determination. Under the UN Charter and African Charter, Article 20, if a people are fighting against domination or colonialism, their government in exile is often viewed as the sovereign representative even before they win the war. Declaratory theory. Most modern scholars follow the declaratory theory, which says a state exists the moment it meets the criteria, regardless of whether other countries recognize it. However, for a GIE, recognition is essentially their air supply. Without it, they cannot function. 3. De jure versus de facto sovereignty. In the case of a government in exile, international law splits sovereignty into two types. Type: definition, requirement. De jure, by law, the legal right to rule, based on international law, treaties, and the will of the people. De facto, in fact, the physical power to rule, based on military control, tax collection, and policing the streets. The 21st century reality: a government in exile holds de jure sovereignty. They are the legal owners of the country's rights, like bank accounts or UN seats, even if another group holds de facto power through military force. 4. Proving effective government without military. You ask if they must show military force. In the 21st century, a GIE can prove it is an effective government through civilian governance, such as 1. Issuing passports, if other countries accept their travel documents. 2. Diplomatic missions, having embassies in foreign capitals. 3. Representing the people, showing that the population back home supports the GIE, e.g., through underground movements or protests. 4. Managing resources, handling the nation's frozen assets or international aid. Summary. In the modern Monde world, sovereignty is a legal status granted by the international community. While the military helps you take territory, your sovereignty comes from being recognized as the legitimate voice of a people under the UN Charter. Would you like me to analyze a specific modern example, like the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic or the National Unity Government of Myanmar, to see how they apply these laws?
I hope you are listening. They give us names of countries. They give us what? Names of countries that have passed this road that our US government is passing right now. And do you see how they define effective control of a government in exile? That they have to be issuing passport, ID card. That is what your government is doing. That is what United States of Biafra government is doing. Issuing passport, ID card. To do what? I said, for them to improve effective government. Diplomatic missions. That's why we are having, do you see that word? Head office missions. Head missions, do you see it? Diplomatic missions. Having embassy in foreign capitals, in foreign countries where we reside. Representing the people, showing that the population back homeland support the government in exile, e.g. through underground movement or protest. Through underground movement or protest. Maintaining the structure, hiding the nation. So when you, and they also said here, there's a place it said that the territory of the government in exile is being occupied. The territory of the USB is being occupied by Nigerian government. Is it not true? And because of that, are we not a sovereignty? Because of that, are we not a country? They said they did not need force this time around. That they want what? Your sovereignty depends on what? How legal movements you are taking. When a new country is being declared with government in exile, the message is for you to think, for you to also see that all that we are passing through today, that all that this government is doing, that they are doing the right thing. Sorry about that. That they are doing what? The right thing. My people, we should not be panicked. Among all the laws that control this world, none of them said, yes, military is sovereignty. I have volunteered myself to come. Nobody's paying me one. Nobody recruited me. Those who drop, I should ask them, did they will recruit you when you were on social media? I left for all of you. Between Geneva Convention, no military. Between Vienna Convention, no military. Between UN, no military. Between African Charter, even Africa of our own, they don't need it. They all want towards peaceful exit. What is that peaceful exit? Legal, diplomatic, political, and the world. Under this international pressure, all these are what we have to do. That is why the government headband on registering everything to be a legal document that gives you sovereignty and also gives you a right to be opening World Bank in abroad. Oh, I'm sorry for you that you decided to do yourself more harm than good. That is why we are here to tell you this gospel truth and give a little bit analysis of it.
Under international law, the short answer is no. A government in exile, GIE, is not strictly required to show full force of military to prove sovereignty, but they do face a very high effectiveness hurdle that military power often helps resolve in practice. The legal reality is a balance between fact, who actually runs the place, and legitimacy, who has the right to run the place. Here is how the laws you mentioned, the UN Charter, the Geneva Conventions, the African Charter, and the Montevideo Convention, apply to this situation. 1. The Montevideo Convention, the 4 pillars. The most widely accepted definition of a state comes from the 1933 Montevideo Convention. It says a country exists when it has 1. A permanent population. 2. A defined territory. 3. A government. 4. The capacity to enter into relations with other states. For a government in exile, the problem is effective control. If a government is in exile, it usually doesn't control the territory or the population. International law generally requires effective government, meaning the ability to enforce laws and keep order. While you don't need a full military force by law, you do need to prove that you can govern. 2. The UN Charter and self-determination. The UN Charter and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights emphasize the right to self-determination. The African Charter, Article 20, explicitly states that colonized or oppressed peoples have the right to free themselves by any means recognized by the international community. This means that if a government in exile represents a people fighting against colonialism or illegal occupation, international law is much more forgiving. They might be recognized as sovereign, even without a large military, based on their moral and legal right to independence. 3. The Geneva Conventions, occupation versus sovereignty. The Geneva Conventions protect the rights of a state, even when it is occupied by an enemy. If a
Are
country
you hearing it? Are you hearing this? The Geneva Convention protects the right of a state even when it's occupied by an enemy. Now that Nigeria occupies our land, this law protects us. The Geneva Convention protects, remember the Geneva Convention, occupation versus sovereignty. The Geneva Convention protects the right of a state even when it's occupied by an enemy. After declaration, the world knows that your territory will be occupied by the country you are living. That is the one they call enemy. Sorry for you.
is invaded, the government can flee, becoming a government in exile, and under the laws of armed conflict, they remain the sovereign power of that land, even if they have zero military force left.
Even if they have zero military. Even if they have zero military.
The occupier is considered a temporary administrator, not the new owner. Summary table: military force versus sovereignty. Criteria: role of military force, legal requirement. New country, secession. High, usually requires a decisive victory or control to prove the old country can't stop them. Must show effective control over the land. Occupied country. Low, the government in exile remains sovereign even if their army is defeated. Sovereignty is maintained by right of legitimacy. Liberation movements. Medium, military force, guerrilla warfare, is often the evidence of a struggle for independence. Based on self-determination, UN and African Charter. The reality of recognition. In the modern world, sovereignty is often declaratory. This means a country exists because other countries say it exists. Example: if 150 countries recognize a government in exile as the true government, it becomes sovereign in the eyes of the law, even if it has no tanks or planes. Example: if a government has a massive military but no one recognizes it, like the Taliban in their first era or certain breakaway regions, it is a de facto power but lacks de jure legal sovereignty. Would you like me to look into specific historical examples where a government in exile was recognized without having a military?
Yes, but that should be tomorrow. That should be what? Tomorrow, because we are just coming back from work. I feel like I'm tired. So, my people, let's stand on this legality, this legal movement of the USB that the world has embraced and also dish it out. That is the template we have to follow as a newly declared country that are seeking for this official international recognition that give us automatically the full sovereignty, the full territorial integrity that will chase Nigeria away in our country. Please, my people, the other thing is that whenever you're going to watch this program, I urge you to please share and like this program. Make it go viral. You can also read with me on my S handle, the same Read Biafra TV. I post all these documents there. So you can also read by yourself. I post it there. When you can be a paragraph by paragraph. That is the way it is. So please endeavor to like and share. If you just join us, the like is on your right hand, on top of your right. Do I'm pointing my hand. Check your screen on top of it. You will see a three dot. Just touch it once it will open. Once that three dot open, you will see like and share. Once you like, you share, it will take you to the page. Then you subscribe and do what? If you know what we are doing, you turn the notification on for others to come and listen what we are doing. That is all we can do. That is all, my people. Nobody will stop here we are right now. So I urge every Biafrans to stand with Biafra government. They are doing wonderful. A lot is going on. A lot is about to happen. A lot is happening already. Be strong. Do not panic. At this last push, you will know how strong you are before you will cross this crossover night. It is very important to every Biafrans to know that do not mind those boys. The world know what they call rebel. The world know what they call puppet. The world know what there's many kind of name that was being given. So relax yourself. The woman today who is in the office of Namibia as the president, they have called her terrorist. They have called her honor of name. There's one they did not call her, but what happened today? She is there. Good night from here. I salute you all. We will see ourselves as we continue tomorrow night again. Thank you so much. We end it up here.